on America's Day at the Races. We close out the week with a competitive Sunday card from Aqueduct in New York. What do you think now? Return to the promise he flashed earlier this year with a surprise win at a mile last out. Can he build on that performance against a tough group? Bankit is one of his main challengers. This millionaire has always been rock solid, earning the 7th stakes win of his career in his last start. Out in Hot Springs, Arkansas, a 6-furlong sprint is featured in today's 8th race on the card. Air Combat will take plenty of support, but he needs to find a way to turn the tables on no less than 3 horses who outfinished him at his last start over a muddy track. All that and more coming up on this Sunday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us on our FS1 coverage, with strong cards both at Aqueduct and Oaklawn. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Good to see you. And our feature here in New York today, good race with who's lining up, but also honoring one of the all-time great New York breds.
Yeah, Say Florida Sandy was a really terrific horse going back about 25 years, owned by Sandy Bacon, who, of course, a big part of the New York bred program, owning horses for a long, long time. And Say Florida Sandy is one of those horses, for those of us who've been around New York a long time, and I'm sure there are many of you out there, you just remember them and you remember these horses fondly.
Well, what do you think now? We touched on it in the opening of the program. I mean, back in January, February of this year, it looked like he was potentially going to be a superstar sprinter. Didn't really pan out the rest of the year, but he bounced back in a big way last start, stretching out to a mile.
No, it is really interesting because when you saw him win the Holly Hughes, I have to think the connections as well, looking at it and thinking this could be a horse that could win a race like the Carter. Now, I don't know if he would have beaten Speaker's Corner, the kind of race he ran, but he could have been competitive and finished second. And then there were obviously issues and he disappeared. And the problem right now is a lack of consistency, right? He ran sort of mediocrely in his comeback. Okay, he stepped up in the Morrissey. You think maybe he needed a race, but then he runs a couple of mediocre races after that. Last time out, how good was this race? Or did he just manage to get loose on a wet track? I feel as though this race is full of good horses that are a little untrustworthy. My Boy Tate, Bankit, what do you think now? All of them really good in their best races, but are they on the top of their game?
Can he control up front?
He's supposed to. I mean, on paper, unless he has a disastrous start, he's the controlling speed, which makes him dangerous, but I'm going to try to beat him.
We'll get to that selection in a bit. Let's first look at Bankit, the millionaire, and My Boy Tate. Both these two have had incredible careers.
Yeah, I'm a huge My Boy Tate fan. It's just, you know, he's been around so long. He's a 9-year-old now, so we've seen him for a long time. Bankit as well. And Bankit's sort of interesting because he got very, very good in 2021. I think going by in 2022 sort of, it kind of set him back a little bit. He came back with these wins, but how good was his last race? I think the most interesting thing about his last race was how much speed he had, because he's never really shown that much speed in the past.
Yeah, he was sitting right off the pace and, of course, beating My Boy Tate in that race. And My Boy Tate, as he's gotten older, on again, off again, we don't know what version we're going to get of him.
I agree. I mean, every time he runs, I want to pick him. I just have, like, massive love for him. But he finally came alive 2 back. And then last time, he just ran another clunker. So there's no way you can be confident in him. And I even wonder if Michelle Nevin's thinking, well, I don't know what I'm going to get when I bring him out, and just hope for the best. He's a cool horse, but who knows if he'll show up. And that's why I'm going to try to beat him with Reggae Music Man. Because Reggae Music Man should really be, he's sort of the Aqueduct horse, you know, with our great Jamaican, you know, fans here. A horse like Reggae Music Man, how do you not root for him at the beginning?
Yeah, and you could say, too, wow, he's taking a big step up. But, I mean, he faced, what do you think now, in a stakes race a few starts back. He was very competitive against him. I
agree. And, you know, you look at the Beyer Figs, he got an 88 last time. Well, these horses, Bankit ran a 90. I mean, they're running those kind of numbers. So I don't think it's impossible he gets it done. Interesting race. I don't even think Market Alert, the horse on the outside, is impossible as well, getting back to a fast track.
We've narrowed it down for you. Just about everybody could win that race. That's the 8th on the card today. Feature today in New York. Here's a look at what else is ahead on the program, brought to you by Claiborne Farms. Our races 6 through 9. Late pick 4 ahead on the fast going here at South Ozone Park. We'll have Oaklawn races 4 through 9. They're fast out in Hot Springs. Paul LaDuca out there as well with live coverage. And race 9 from Tampa Bay on the grass, turf course firm in Oldsmar, Florida, to come a little bit later on in the program as well. You could, of course, play it all with Naira Bets. Get signed up, started. Go to NairaBets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's the offer. You get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus for new members with that code right there, match 200. And play away. And we promise our commentary gets more interesting if you have a few dollars down.
I don't know if we're putting you on losers and make it even less interesting. I'm not so sure about that,
Well,
Greg.
whether you're rooting with us or against us.
Are you a little surprised looking at the board? I'm never surprised when Happy Sophia opens up short because she's always short. But Valalua, I didn't think we predicted this one would be opening as the favorite.
This was the horse that resulted in a $48,000 pick 5 at Saratoga this summer. And when Jackie Davis was riding for Dad, he said, stay away from the inside. She went up the inside anyway and stole the race.
Maybe it's all the people watching us talk about as the race last year, and maybe that's what they're jumping on. But this is not a horse that I considered here as a major contender, but clearly I'm in the minority at this point.
9 minutes away from a race that kicks off this late pick 4. Let's head downstairs, get more from Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, we do see Valalua as your current favorite, but I do want to talk about the horse that may end up, being the operative word there, being the post-time favorite in number 6 in here, Rebo's Valentine, who is coming off of a pretty poor effort. But as I caught up with her trainer, Ray Handel, here in the paddock before saddling her, he did say that she grabbed her quarter, in other words, grabbed her heel coming out of the gate, and 2, it was, as he said, and I quote, the first time she was running inside of horses, and she just was never really comfortable. She remained on that inside lead, inside left lead down the lane, and never switched and looked to be lugging in just because she kind of didn't really know what to do. Now she's drawn more towards the outside, again, a place where she does feel more comfortable. She does look good here in the paddock. I don't know if she can get back and overcome that last race, but it does sound as though there's viable excuses for her and does show up here looking the part. As we'll also check in with a bit of a wild card in number 1, Patria. This is the first time in a long time that she has been on a fast main track. Now, there's a very strong argument that she's strictly a turf horse, but you always kind of forgive a horse for their first start over a surface in what was an open maiden special weight, albeit there at Laurel, but did not get Lasix, and again, just inexperience. Now, pedigree-wise, she is more inclined to be a dirt horse. She's a Buston Sones, half to Ernie Banker, who is an accomplished, albeit New York bred, out of town, mainly at the other track that we're showing on the program today at Oaklawn Park. And looking at her against Rebo's Valentine, these are the 2 best turned out horses here in the paddock. Now she's going to have to deal with the speed of number 5, Spin a Yarn, which doesn't do her any favors being down on the inside. But I'm going to watch her with some interest, and maybe one that we use underneath, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. This is a wide open race to kick off this pick 4. Favoritism back to Rebo's Valentine, the 6th. That's a look at Happy Sophia, major player as well. Mike Luzzi will ride. Struggled at this condition the last time out, going a little further. We'll have the post parade for you when we come back to kick off this late pick 4.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Post parade to kick off the late pick four. We start with Patria, who went gate to wire for a win on the turf last start. Moves to dirt.
As Maggie was talking about, there's pedigree for the dirt, but this horse really is a far superior horse on turf than dirt. But it's winter, so they're taking their shot.
One of three between 5-2 and 3-1 here. Here's Happy Sophia.
A horse that always opens up a short price and drifts, and trainer's been going well, and she'd had some good recent form. I like the cutback.
Karamoka comes off a win from off the pace last start, going 7/8.
Got a good trip, but she ran a race fast enough to compete, though you did kind of miss the wedding at 9-1, but 7-1 today.
Probably the speed of the field here. Spin a Yarn at 6-1.
I picked her on top. I'm hoping she's the speed of the speed. And in this race with the scratches, I thought she could wire them.
She likes to win. She's 7 for 12 lifetime, although it's softer circuits. Rebo's Valentine, 5-2 favorite.
I like her chances and understand why she's favored. The problem is, Greg, you're betting a favorite off an inexplicably poor performance last time.
And Vallelujah, when she won at Saratoga, she was 24-1. It was a big shocker. Wow, she is a short price in this group.
She is a short price. Now, I think she's drifting. It feels like somebody made an early bet on her. But even at 5-1, she feels a little on the short side, especially when you look at her and you see the kind of prices she is every time she runs.
Jackie Davis riding for Dad. We'll see if they could pull off some magic again like they did this summer upstate. 3 minutes to post here in the pick four. Let's get some help. Check in with Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to go towards the outside with the 7, Vallelujah. And I understand some horse players are allergic to when they see a horse that, you know, starts off morning line at a price and gets bet down. You feel like there's no value there. Remember, the morning line is just a prediction of what one individual thinks that the public's going to do. Now, David Aragona, who makes the morning line in New York, is pretty darn good. So I think there is some, you have the ability to kind of lean on his morning line, but I'm not going to let that bother me. I think this horse makes sense. Andy picked the 5, Spin a Yarn, and I'll let him elaborate, but I imagine it has something to do with the fact this horse showed a lot of speed last time in a race that seemingly fell apart. If a race falls apart, you want the horses that are going to be forwardly placed. I just feel like the 7, Vallelujah, is a little bit better. Vallelujah wasn't setting the pace, but was close enough and ran well, considering that pace was pretty honest enough, at least for the race to fall apart. So I'm going to lean towards the outside with the 7, Vallelujah. I'm not going to get too caught up in the fact this horse is being bet down from the morning line. I just feel like this horse ran the best race out of that December 11th race where Captain's Daughter, which so many of these horses are exiting, and I want the horse that was kind of a little bit closer. Give me the 7, Vallelujah.
And Andy, we'll get to your horse, Spin a Yarn, and the speed, but is not Patria from the rail a problem for the 5?
Potentially. I think the 5 is faster, but she's potentially a problem, and certainly with Kendrick. It's just I'm kind of hoping that she's not really a dirt horse and she doesn't have that same kind of speed in the dirt, but she's absolutely potentially a problem. What happened for me is that I originally picked the 2 in this race, and I picked the race 2, 6, 5, and then when they scratched the 2, I thought, I don't want to scratch into Rebo's Valentine as the favorite. I can understand why she's kind of the horse to beat, but she ran so inexplicably badly last time that I didn't want to take her. And I thought, you know what? I had kind of looked at Spin a Yarn. She'd probably be a decent enough price. I don't trust her. She got engaged in a pace that fell apart last time out. Captain's Daughter, who won the race, actually ran well yesterday, which might be one of the reasons Vallelujah is taking a lot of money. But to me, maybe Spin a Yarn getting into a 6 furlong race is potentially the speed is a little interesting. I don't love her. It's a little bit of a chance.
And she's not just a Finger Lakes horse. She's won on the circuit. She also was second, a very close second in the stake at Saratoga a couple summers ago. So she could certainly compete here with more. Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Spin a Yarn. And she came into the paddock awfully nervous, but once they got the tack on her, and, well, they did that on the walk, she settled right down, and she just looks like your typical dirt sprinter speed type of horse. And there seemed to be a lot more intention with her with regards to her warm-up as opposed to Patria, who was quiet in the paddock and continued to be quiet out on the racetrack. So I know while she has Kendrick Carmouche, as Andy said, I really just don't think she's going to be as quick or quicker than Spin a Yarn here sprinting on the dirt. My kind of knock against her is that last time, yeah, the pace came apart a bit, but the horse that she was dueling with did finish third in there. So it's not like both speed horses completely evaporated and ran backwards through the field. She just did, not pretty clever. So we'll see. She is third off of the layoff. Like I said, she looks incredibly strong and ready to go. We'll see if she can lead these on a merry chase, Greg.
Maggie's absolutely right about that. I'm glad she brought that up. It's a good point. And I don't know where Pretty Clever got that race from, because it's the best race she ever ran.
Well, 8-1 right now on Spinning Yarn. Meanwhile, here's the solid favorite, Rebo's Valentine, 9-5. Dylan Davis for Ray Handel.
Well, I'm sure Ray was able to go into the trainer book of excuses to come up with why she ran badly last time. And listen, maybe there was a reason. But as a handicapper, I'm not going to assume that there was a reason. Yes, her race 2 back was good. She beat Carbon, and Carbon's found a lot of reason to lose a lot of races, but she's still pretty good, and she ran well, and she had been consistently running reasonably well. Her last race was inexplicably bad. I don't want to bet a horse as the favorite coming off a race that I don't have an excuse for. Now listen, maybe there was something wrong with her, but she's coming back less than a month later, so it's hard to believe that there was anything really wrong with her, right? I mean, if she were sick, would she come back this quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a sign of confidence, too. Let's just put that behind us. She threw in a bad one, and let's move forward. We'll find out. 9-5. The majority of this field in these kind of races, there's not a ton of consistency.
No, I agree. I mean, obviously, that's something you deal with so much more here, especially in the winter, and I'm glad you brought it up. Because one of the differences, as the horses get to lower levels, they have a lack of consistency, and it's one of the reasons that the better the horse, the quality of the horse, the more reliable they become.
And the one really horse that you say is consistent is the horse who threw in the clunker last time out, Spinning Yarn. I mean, that horse is 7 for 12 lifetime. Always shows up, with the exception of that last start.
And she has won here in New York. She won at Aqueduct. So it's not as though she hasn't brought that Finger Lakes form to Aqueduct, to the NYRA tracks before. And I think that's a big thing. I'm just kind of hoping she shakes loose here and gets brave. Maggie's point is well taken, but she's a good enough price, and I couldn't come up with a strong case for anybody else at a relatively short price.
Keep your eyes on the early pace with this one here, the 5 Spinning Yarn. Andre Worry will the 1 Patria and Kendrick Carmouche put pressure on that one early. Pick 4 starts here. Favorite steps in. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Step slow for Happy Sophia and also Karamoka at the back of the field. Spinning Yarn has got early speed. Right with her to the inside is going to be Patria. They're a clear 1-2, and then comes Rebo's Valentine's going to stalk from third. Progressing forward there is Hallelujah. Is to the outside here of Happy Sophia, who is tugging there at Mike Luzzi, is now tugging at the rail, is about to challenge for that third position. The trailer is Karamoka. They're set to move into the far turn. Less than 4 furlongs to travel. 23 seconds flat for a pumped up opening quarter mile for Spinning Yarn, who puts away Patria right now, who drops back through the field. Rebo's Valentine is raging up at the outside of Happy Sophia, who's more settled. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. It is still Spinning Yarn in front. Spinning Yarn is up by a length and a half. Hallelujah, Jackie Davis, they're ranging up on the outside here. 3 wide in that second grouping. Top of the stretch, Spinning Yarn kicks for home. It's Spinning Yarn in front, 47 seconds flat for a half-mile time, but Hallelujah is up on the grandstand side, and here comes Hallelujah ready to challenge. Happy Sophia is down towards the inside with some momentum. Also Rebo's Valentine, and from the back, Karamoka. It is now Happy Sophia who's taken the lead. Happy Sophia up by a length and a half. Hallelujah is second. Happy Sophia gets the victory. Hallelujah second, then Rebo's Valentine in 1 minute 12.79 seconds.
Happy Sophia, Mike Luzzi, Randy Prasad, 7-year-old mare, wins for the 7th time in her career.
And even though she got left, she got a very good ride after that from Mike Luzzi and worked out a good trip. No knock on Hallelujah. She made that run. Good call by Jonathan with her, and the public was right. She was extremely live today. But with Happy Sophia, Mike saving ground, I have to think it made a bit of a difference, and he was able to sort of ease into the race. 7 ran well, Hallelujah, but Happy Sophia, after a slow break, gets it done. For Randy Prasad, who's been on a tremendous run, and always happy to see my friend Mike Luzzi get a win.
Oh, that's a trip.
The Mig's happy too.
Yeah, no question.
Luz is a great guy.
Been around for a long time and deserving, still showing he can still ride. That's the trip Hallelujah got when She won Saratoga going up the inside.
Yeah, Jackie's probably thinking that right now. She's probably thinking the exact same thing. It's a good point. And this horse gets it done. She's really been in good form for a while if you look at Happy Sophie, and I think the cutback helped her a lot. And Rebo's Valentine, she did not run well. I mean, she obviously didn't run terribly, finishing third. But her last race signaled she's just not in great form.
Fourth at Oaklawn, we head to Hot Springs, Arkansas. 2-turn mile, condition claiming race, and Fort Peck to the outside could be formidable in this spot for the man who just claimed his 3,000th victory yesterday. Let's go to Paul LaDuca for more.
Yeah, you're correct there, Greg. 3,001 victories. You got another one yesterday as well. Robertino Diodoro with his historic day, 37th trainer to get his 3,000th win. What an accomplishment. His family was here, and credited his father who got him back into this business when he was a young kid in Alberta, Canada. So congratulations to Robertino. We have a great 9-race card here. Some good races, competitive races too. Beautiful outside here. About in the mid-50s. As soon as the sun goes down, it'll be a little bit colder. Yesterday, if you were a favorite of the one horse, you were rich, because 6 out of the 10 races, the one horse won, and they won at prices. And the inside was golden yesterday. Now, the first 3 races today, we've seen a little bit of everything. I think the track's playing a little bit fairer today. And, Andy and Andy talks about this all the time. I don't want to always speed bias after the first 3-4 races. But yesterday it was pretty pronounced, throughout the card. But today, from what I've seen so far, it's playing pretty fair. Okay, let's start with some of the players in here. The 10 Fort Peck, you mentioned it here, Greg. This is my one worry with this horse. First of all, I thought this horse would be 3-5. Number 2, he's second in the will pays when it comes to pick 3s and doubles to the 2 horse in here. Now, Fort Peck was claimed for $40,000 or $30,000 back from Robertino Diodoro. This horse 16 months ago was second to Life is Good, and now is in for $10,000, and it's kind of chilly on the board to the 2 in here. And I can kind of see it in here because there's not a ton of pace in here besides the 2 and the 3. Morning Snow, I thought might be dangerous, but this horse hasn't raced since September 16th. Wartime Hero, I can understand where the fans are going at 3-2 because he has, I guess, the least of the question marks. I'm going to go with Chris Hartman, the 5 in here, Mulberry Street. I get it, that race 2 back, not much, and did no running last time. I think this horse is better around 2 turns. Nicky Juarez aboard. This has my reservations about the 10. You guys know what I call horses like the 10. I call them the Ricky Bobby horses. I think this horse is either going to run first or last.
Yeah, it was a good point Paul brought up. You would have thought with a massive drop, that is a big drop. This horse faced Kershaw last time out, who's a very competitive horse at a higher level, and that was a 40,000 starter allowance. So this drop, the layoff now, he's 8 years old, and the fact that he's not the short price most thought he would be, it's a bad sign.
Yeah, and I think Paul really nailed that. You and I were talking a bit off camera because I was saying I thought it was I look at the race, I'd written down 2-10-5 in here. But the 2 is no bargain at 2-1. But the reason the 2 is such a short price now, 8-5, is because the 10 is chilly on the board. And so they're betting the 2 because whoever they are, don't like the 10. But listen, I'm finding myself agreeing with Paul quite a bit, which is not a bad thing because he's been picking extremely well. And that Mulberry Street's the other horse. Chris Hartman, a dangerous guy. He was ambitious off the claim, moving the horse up. But now he's running back for the 10,000 he ran before. And I feel like this horse is a very big price. Now, maybe he's just chilly on the board, but Mulberry Street, to me, I bet the 5 to win in box 2-5.
And back to the 8-5 favorite for a moment, Wartime Hero. Got a big figure in that race. And that was off a pretty lengthy layoff. Hadn't raced since May 8th, came back December 17th, so there's room to build off that. So easy to see why he's taking the money he is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even in defeat, he still ran a pretty good race. He's got good position inside. It feels like he's going to be behind. The 1 is supposed to go to the lead. Awesome Family, the horse who's stretching out, but he's supposed to get good position behind that one. A little tough to make Awesome Family on the stretch out or just in general in here. So you almost feel like he kind of inherits the lead at some point in the race, and he just seems like a logical horse. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't have a ton of contenders. I almost feel like I want to ask Maggie if I've got the right horse. I feel like the number 4 Ego won a race at Belmont on the turf for her husband Tom. at a big price. We'll have to, Maggie, if she's listening, she'll get back to us the next race. But I feel like we saw Ego, and he has won in the turf before. No? Did not. Okay. Did he have her? Have him before? Maybe I have the wrong horse. Whatever. Wrong again. They haven't even run the race, and I'm wrong.
That one, it's Ego the 4, Carl Broberg, second off the claim, who is taking some money here at 5-1.
You know how much I love when they circle behind the gate. My favorite thing to race.
And look, we brought up Robertino Diodoro, amazing accomplishment. What he, over his career yesterday, 3,000th victory of his training career, added 3,001 in the stake in the Pippin, when Lovely Ride repeated what she did in the Mistletoe, gate to wire again.
It's really one of the biggest changes in the game, especially when you're like me and you've been around a long time, is trainers like Diodoro. Wayne Lucas started a lot with the different beachheads, different training operations around the country, where you didn't see this before, but now you see, whether it's a Brad Cox, obviously Steve Asmussen, but trainers who have horses in a lot of different places and a lot of different starters. And Robertino, he's really sort of a guy. I mean, when did you first hear of him? For me, it was about 5 or so years ago when he came to Saratoga, right? 5 or 6 years ago.
Well,
you would know
about
more.
him from Turf Paradise.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at Turf Paradise. I wasn't. Lucky you. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't exactly a household name until a few years ago. And now everybody's heard of him.
Yeah, and making more and more of an impact each summer at Saratoga. Lone Rock, one of his big horses, who was the marathon specialist.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Loading up here for this fourth from Oaklawn. So it is Wartime Hero the 2. Francisco Arrieta riding for Cipriano Contreras. The 1 to beat. We'll see if the 10, though, Fort Peck for Diodoro. Mr. 3000 can make an impact from that outside slot. Vic Stauffer, the call. Race 4 from Oaklawn.
Awesome Family tried to break through the gate, but he couldn't get out. Assistant starter has a hold of him. Fort Peck is in and ready. They're at the post. They're off. Wartime Hero, Awesome Family, Morning Snow, and Mulberry Street, and Forever Mo, and Recklessness, and Valdolobo. How about 7 for the front? Valdolobo will be closer to the hotel than he is the rail. Then Fort Peck, followed by Ego, and the early trailer is Georgia Deputy. Awesome Family to the backstretch from Wartime Hero and Valdolobo. So he made it over to the 3-path. Not too bad. The top 3 are separated by a length. It's 2 lengths to Morning Snow and Mulberry Street. They've got 2.5 lengths to make up. Then Forever Mo, 6th with 5 to close. Fort Peck is out of last place. He moves up 7 off the lead with Ego just inside of him and Recklessness. 3 back to the trailer, Georgia Deputy. Finish line is the 16th pole, and now there's 2 left up front, and they are Wartime Hero and Awesome Family. Wartime Hero puts his head in front. Awesome Family is second. Now Forever Mo moves through at the rail to the outside and Mulberry Street. Here's Mulberry Street into third and a length and a half from the front. Fort Peck is up to 4th in the white blinkers. He's got some forward momentum for Torres. Fort Peck's on the move. Looks like he'll try to have to catch Wartime Hero, who's a neck in front. Fort Peck has now moved all the way up into a joint second, and there it looks like your race at the top of the stretch with Wartime Hero and Fort Peck. Finish line is the 16th pole. Wartime Hero a neck in front. Fort Peck trying to forge by, and he's being drifted out. These two shoulder to shoulder to the final 16th. Wartime Hero, Fort Peck can't get by. Wartime Hero in front. Wartime Hero beat Fort Peck 2.5. Georgia Deputy just snapped Mulberry Street for third.
Public got it right. It was Wartime Hero getting the better of Fort Peck for the 3rd win of his career.
Yeah, and as we were talking about, figured to be stalking the number 1 horse, Awesome Family, who wasn't going to be able to get the distance, would inherit. And the question was, could they hold off? The way you saw Fort Peck making that move around the 3/8 to 5/16 seemed like a good chance he actually had some game. He ran okay, but he really was no threat for this horse.
Did this 6 horse get 3rd?
He did.
At 76 to 1.
Wow.
So the top 2 choices on the board run 1, 2, and if you played the trifecta and went deep and maybe used all in that 3rd slot, this trifecta is going to be nice.
Yeah, getting it done. Mulberry Street made a little bit of a move. Mulberry Street really had nothing.
Wartime Hero. with Francisco Arrieta. He moves forward, second off the bench for the victory. We'll have the prices for you when we come back. We're going to take a look back to Saturday in the road to the Kentucky Derby here in New York in the Jerome. Michael McCarthy. Historic win for him in New York. We'll have more on that when we come back with Lugan Knight.
Honda, 300,000, 275, EDF 275,000, 75, Budica 75, 275,000, 250, Ralph now 250,000, here Budica 2, bit $200,000.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
We take pride in what we do.
For me, it's more of a passion than actual work. I'm an assistant trainer.
Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom.
Clocker.
Assistant starter.
Trainer.
ESL teacher.
I love what I do.
There's so many jobs that come together every day. It's a collective effort that really makes this ball go round.
We are New York Racing! I couldn't imagine working anywhere else.
For me, riding horses in the morning is the best thing I can do.
New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
Like my dream come true.
This is like a big family.
We are New York Horse Racing.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the action at Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com, get signed up and started, and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Late pick 4 in New York. It began race 6 with Happy Sophia at 3-1, winning under Mike Lezzi.
Yeah, a nice ride by the Luz, saving ground down on the inside. I don't think we have a track necessarily that the rail has been as strong as it was yesterday. And I think yesterday it was not one of those gold rail tracks. It was just a good rail and perhaps helpful in some situations, and maybe that's continuing today. But broke a little slow, but Luz got her in good position. Vallelujah ran well for second. Just no match for Happy Sophia, who's been in good form over the last few months.
7-year-old mare who's, I don't even think we can argue, it's probably the best form of her life.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's had good races here and there, but she's been holding the form for a longer period of time. So a neat horse. She always opens up to the favorite. I don't know if all the Sophias are betting out on her, but it's the weirdest thing. I feel like she could run the Breeders' Cup and she'd open up as the favorite.
$8.50 for the win. 3-7-6 finish. Favorite defeated to start off the pick 4. Race 7. 6-furlong sprint. New York Preds first allowance condition, and one of the more intriguing races on this entire card. Another race where you can make a case for just about everybody in this spot. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
It is a fun race, Greg, as we'll see. You know, we often, at this point in the year on the Naira circuit, we see a lot of these Finger Lakes horses shipping in here with numbers that would make them competitive, but it often doesn't translate. And I know, speaking with some horsemen and people who've run horses up there, it is quite a different surface that they deal with between the two tracks. So sometimes it takes a horse a little bit of time to acclimate to it. As we'll take a look at number 7, though, Safalo's Mission. He has been here throughout his career, but this is his second start off of a layoff. And last time he finished behind Today's Flavor, who was a runaway winner who returned yesterday. Is taking a next step up the ladder in that second level A, other than for New York Breds, posting a 93 buyer. And really, Safalo's Mission, he was steadied significantly at the start after being interfered with, and he really was the only horse to make up ground while doing that running up the inside. And I think he looks even better today than what he did off the bench. Just a little bit more freer in his movement, walking around the paddock, a bit more tucked up. He had a good coat to him. He looked really healthy in that respect last time out, but just taking that needed step forward to really kind of put him in the game. And for me, I feel as though he's the one that I want of these horses that are taking money, as we'll take a look at two coming off respective layoffs. Number 5, Writer's Regret. Yes, he has run mostly up at Finger Lakes, but he's a horse that did run a decent race here at Aqueduct. If you go back to February, can he get back to that? We'll see. Is one that lives on his nerves a little bit, as you see him with the pony here in the paddock. It's gotten a little bit warm. Now, that's not completely out of character for him, but I always do, as an overall rule, interpret it as a bit of a negative for horses coming back off the layoff. It's usually just a telltale sign, for whatever reason, that they need a start. Physically, he's a big, strong, good-looking boy, but with that being said, I also feel like just a start's going to be needed really to kind of get him back in the game, though does pick up Manny Franco for this effort. Daufuskie Island, he is taking a lot of money off the back of a voided claim. Again, we don't know why it was voided necessarily. And 2, a race in which he was able to control things very comfortably on the front end. But he's not a horse that necessarily needs the front end by any means. He looks fine here, and I'm sure it's a vote of confidence. It could be interpreted that way, that off of that voided claim, they step him up and protect him. He looks okay here. I've seen him look a bit better in the past, to be completely honest. And Charlie Baker's one of those trainers where I typically do like the way his horses are turned out. Just could look a bit better in his coat, just could look a bit more fit and together overall, if I am being critical, Greg, of your current favorite.
One to beat right now off what was a big effort. I know you had talked about earlier on Talking Horses, too, that inside was good that day, and he was the one out in front taking advantage of the rail. Still, he earned a big figure.
Yeah, that was my problem, though. The fact that he rode a gold rail that day in a 4-horse field, it did dress his performance up. As far as the voided claim, it's an ongoing situation with him, and it's not a physical issue. So I'm not saying he's going to win, but if you're afraid that the voided claim had to do with him having some physical problem, it did not.
So there he is. Maggie said he's looked better. He's gotten plenty of rest, yes, since that time. Nearly 3 months off. Let's take a look at that performance. So this was back on October 7th, the last time he raced. Immediately jumped out to the front, and he went gate to wire for the win.
But as we talk about quite often, you will see exaggerated performances on biased racetracks, and especially in a situation like this. He was able to get away with a ridiculously slow pace, and Risk Profile was put on the chase outside of him. Now, Risk Profile came back and ran 12 Beyer points better the next time, but he was also against the track and against the nature of the dynamics of the race. So it's no surprise he ran a lot better, and even Dr. Love has run okay in some subsequent starts. He ran a decent third here yesterday. I think he makes a certain amount of sense, but I felt like that race was just such ideal circumstances. He can rate, though. He's not getting the lead in this race.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not going to be the one you wouldn't think. And
it's almost impossible.
He, as you said, he has one from off the pace, but can he be as effective as we saw in that last start doing that?
Funny horse, because when he won his debut, he really looked like he was going to be a very nice horse, and it just hasn't panned out.
A great promo today involving the late pick 3.
I like that.
If you hit it, you also share a pot of $5,000. We'll have that for you in a moment. But let's get Jonathan's take on how to play this pick 3. JK.
Well, look, we don't always have time, but I think we do here to give some tickets with a little bit more efficiency, right? Sometimes we have to give tickets, just one ticket. I like to play multiple tickets to kind of better reflect my opinion. So to play this pick 3 here, we're going to play it with some kind of weighted tickets. For the first ticket we're going to do is a $10 ice cold ticket. 7, 4, 8, the 7 South Slopes Mission, the 4 What Do You Think Now, and the 8 Cheeky Tico. That's the $10 ticket. Then we're going to come back with a $3 ticket. We're going to have some backups in that race 8 in the second race. We're going to go 7 with 1, 2, 3, 5 with 8. Basically, we're going to use all the other horses outside of the 4, What Do You Think Now, in the Say Florida Sandy. We're going to use them for less money because I think, What Do You Think Now, the 4 is going to win. But just in case one of those other 2 win, other 4 win, I want to be able to still cash my ticket if I'm right in race 7 and right in race 9. We'll do the same thing, same idea. We're going to do a backup horse in the last leg. We'll do another $3 ticket. 7 with 4-5. 7 Safslow's Mission, the 4 What Do You Think Now, and then a little bit of a backup if the 8 Cheeky Tico doesn't win, we have a ticket on the 5 Dad's Good Runner. This is a way to kind of wager efficiently, a $25 total investment, but if it comes the way we like it, we'll have it 10 times. If not, we'll have some backup tickets. We can still hopefully make some money or at least get back our investment. It's one of the most underrated things in racing. If you can get back your investment with a chance to win your original big opinion, you're usually barking up the right tree.
All right, JK, thanks for that. That's certainly one way to go after it. Again, that promo today, you got to opt in if you're a NYRA member. It's an enticing one to play this late pick 3. So the final pick 3 on the Sunday card. If you hit it, you share a pot of $5,000 with everyone else who has a winning ticket.
Yeah, I mean, I just played it now because of that bonus. And I found this race to be a very, very wide open race. Like Jonathan, I picked the 7 in here, but I have absolutely no confidence in this horse whatsoever because I think this race has a lot of variables in it. Because there are a lot of horses that have races good enough to win. For the most part, they're at Finger Lakes. But to just assume that none of them are going to transfer that form to NYRA is a very, very dicey proposition.
Post parade coming up, and we'll start with Uno at 10-1 right now.
Well, he's already ahead of the game because he scratched out of a race yesterday he couldn't possibly win to run here. Still, he has some races good enough to win, and he is cutting back in distance, and he has won at 6 furlongs before.
3 for 5 at Aqueduct as well. Here's Zircon. Had a poor break last time out.
Do want to point out it was 3 for 5 for Todd Pletcher. Yeah, I didn't love Zircon here, but listen, he ran fast figures in Finger Lakes in his second and third races back, and he's the one who caused the problem last time, and he actually negative affected Saflow's Mission, who finished well ahead of him.
Debo went by. He's won 5 of his last 8. Here's the 4 Warriors Revenge for Mark Hennick. More on him in a second. Writer's Regret 7-1.
I think Writer's Regret is dangerous in this race. He can be the outside horse of the speeds.
The favorite to Fusky Island.
I guess you have to just ask yourself how much you trust him off a dressed-up performance.
Yeah, 5-2. Saflow's Mission for Linda Rice will be coming from off the pace.
Had significant trouble last time. Got a very good ride from Jose Lescano thereafter. And, of course, he finished well behind a horse that won with an impressive performance here yesterday.
So that's your field. Talked about Debo. He's won 5 of 8. We had to sort of skip over Warriors Revenge. Quickly, your thoughts on him, the 9-time winner, the 4.
He's another horse that I wouldn't be shocked if he wins. He does seem to have better form, though, at Finger Lakes. You know, he comes here. Though I thought he actually ran okay last time because he ended up chasing on the outside. And it was a weird situation where we sealed the track before the 8th race. So you don't have a whole day's data to go on the sealed track. Well, that race was won wire to wire by today's flavor. And Saflow's Mission basically rode the inside part of the track. The last race was run very fairly where outside runners did well. So it's hard to know. But I thought he ran okay chasing on the outside, but still not as well as he'd been running at Finger Lakes.
Yeah, he'd won 7 in a row at Finger Lakes before that poor break coming to Aqueduct last time out. Zircon, we're going to show you what happened for him out of the gate in that last start.
Yeah, it really, not much happened. The Warriors horse, you see him sort of drifting out a little bit. He didn't have a bad break. What happened was the one Zircon came out into Saflow's Mission and badly cut that horse off. And we show the pan, you'll see it, how much worse it is. The reality was Warriors Revenge, nothing really happened. You see him breaking there. It's really what happened between the inside horses, and Saflow's Mission was the one who took the brunt of it. Zircon caused it, and Zircon wasn't that badly compromised. Now, what happened with Zircon is you'll see he gets rank. He's down on the inside. He's going to get a little rank behind horses, sort of taking some kickback and caught behind a horse, not a comfortable position to be in. But now he's in a race where there's a lot of speed. Is he going to be able to outrun both the 4 and 5 in this race? If he is, he has a good chance, but he might be in a position where he's getting hunted from the inside. This race, there's a lot of things you can say about it. It's a very hard race, I think, to have a definitive opinion. I do think, though, that Saflow's Mission ran very well in there, given the circumstances.
And completely shut off out of the gate. And look, he's never a horse that's going to be up near the lead, but he's not going to be this far back either.
Right, exactly. And the field spread it anyway because of the pace, and he makes a very solid run for second. He got an exceptional ride from Jose Lescano after the trouble at the start to get it, but he still managed to get second given the trouble, and I think says a lot of good things about him. But on the other hand, Warriors Revenge was chasing on the outside, and he's the horse he passed, so he had to exert himself trying to chase to stay in the race, so it's not as though he had a perfect trip either. I think they both ran reasonably well. I trust Safalo's Mission more, but on the other hand, he's 2-1, and the 4 is 5-1. So the price might compensate for it.
Well, we talked about this one here, Warriors Revenge. He had been a win machine at Finger Lakes 7 in a row before that defeat coming to Aqueduct last start. With more on him, let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, I mean, he is a consistent type of horse, Greg. Talking about number 4, Warriors Revenge, with 21 starts, he's finished on the board 18 of those times. So, I mean, that's a pretty impressive stat within itself. So he always shows up. He's always right there. And like I was talking about in the paddock, sometimes it just feels as though it takes these horses maybe a start to kind of acclimate to the track. And overall, if you look at his body of work, his races on a fast Harrow track are better. So there's every reason to believe that this horse could be very effective in this spot. And as Andy was pointing out, he is better than twice the price of your now current favorite and the horse that we've all selected in Safalo's Mission. But I am going to stick with Safalo's Mission. I liked him going in here. I was even more confident with what I saw in the paddock and out in the racetrack. Greg, he received a very big, powerful warm-up from Jose Lezcano. I like to see that with a horse that sometimes has a little bit of trouble just getting out of the gate and into stride effectively.
Wow, he's become the solid favorite now, 8-5. Thank you, Maggie. There he is. Safalo's Mission, Jose Lezcano, Linda Rice. They have been a formidable team over the years.
8-5 is a tough price to take on anybody in this race. I mean, I picked him. I didn't think he'd be this short. I think David had him 5-2 on the morning line.
He did.
This is not a, I mean, I have trouble making Uno, and Uno's a horse whose best races in New York, they were all for Todd Pletcher, though he did run reasonably well for these connections. Oh, actually, but you see, that's the thing. When this horse got claimed, right, he got buried in his next start, now be it moving well up. He went to Finger Lakes, and he switched to a different trainer. And if you look in your racing form, you'll note that that trainer over the past year is winning at 32%. And now is going back to a trainer who's had some limited success with his stars in New York, and I don't think that should be ignored. Well, I don't think it can be ignored. Listen, Debo's a big price. I don't really like him. Natalia Lynch has very good numbers off the claim, so I won't be surprised if this horse moves forward in this race as well.
Yeah, Debo the 3, 14-1. Another one who's been incredibly consistent, especially of late. He's won 5 of his last 8 starts. He's competitive with Warriors Revenge when he had, he was in tight there in that race a little bit.
Well, it's an unusual field where 5 of the 7 runners have done the bulk of their running at Finger Lakes. I mean, you're going to see more Finger Lakes horses obviously running here in the winter with Finger Lakes shut down in the winter. Having said that, you're rarely going to see a race where 5 of the 7 are Finger Lakes horses.
Did you feel, so back to this late pick 3, did you feel there was a race where you could really narrow down?
Well, yeah. I don't love the horse that Jonathan likes in the last 8. I mean, he's obviously one of the ones that can win, but I don't trust that horse at all. I prefer the 2 and 1 in there. So I'm going to live and die with them. Jonathan's going to live and die with the 8. I think the 8th race, I'm taking a little bit of a shot. I'm betting against the known quantities, and I use 2-5 in there, Reggae Music Man and Market Alert. So I'm trying to get a horse's home at prices in that race, because they'll be the 4th and 5th choices, I'd have to think.
Here's Debo stepping in. Again, he's won 5 of his last 8. First off the claim, Natalia Lynch, and a rider he's made quite an impact here. Jason Huayas.
Yeah.
Riding very well. 7-pound weight break on the 3. Favorite, though. 3-2 on Safalo's Mission, the 7 from the outside slot. Under Jose Lezcano, we're set for the 7th. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Mission. All in line. All set. And they're off. Speed from Zircon right out to the front, and Warriors Revenge goes right with Zircon. They're a clear 1-2. Under a drive is Riders Regret, wants to be up closer to the pace, and Uno is at the rail, is in 4th. In between horses, here's the move from Debo, and Debo is tracking from 5th. Dafusky Island, second to last, and crossing over is the trailer, Safalo's Mission, who gets over to the rail as they approach 4 furlongs left to go. Zircon has got the lead, wrestled that lead away from Warriors Revenge, who's back for more up on the outside. Then comes a wide run here. Riders Regret starts to move closer, and at the rail there is Uno. They're tightly bunched on the front end. They went 22 and 2 for that opening quarter mile. It's still Zircon in front. Warriors Revenge is right back there, and here comes Warriors Revenge to put a nose in front of Zircon. Riders Regret starts to stall there from 3rd, tipping towards the outside. Dafusky Island's got a rally. Then comes comes Uno down towards the inside with Devo, and far back is the trailer, Safalo's Mission, who is still 6 lengths off the lead. They are still across the racetrack. Warriors Revenge and Zircon for a final 1/8 of a mile, and now Warriors Revenge is clearly in front. It's Warriors Revenge. Back to second is Zircon from the back. Riders Regret and Uno, but Warriors Revenge is now 3 lengths clear. Warriors Revenge will get the score. It's Warriors Revenge tight here for second. Riders Regrets in a photo with Zircon. Then came Uno in 1 minute 11.28 seconds.
Warriors Revenge going to start perhaps a new win streak after that 7-race win streak was snapped last time out.
Well, he found stalking Zircon to be a lot easier than stalking Today's Flavor, and drew off in a race where really nobody made any kind of significant run. It's interesting with Safalo's Mission. I don't know exactly what happened, but it seemed like when Jose Lezcano, and I'm not knocking him for doing it, dropped over the inside the turn, he immediately sort of took a step back, like maybe he took some kickback in there and got a little intimidated. And he just dropped completely and totally out of the race. It's kind of weird. Made a microscopic run in the late stages to just pick up 6th, but he just didn't really run, and nobody was making up ground.
5-1 on your winner. 2 wins today for jockey Kendrick Carmouche as we head back to Oaklawn. And the start of the late pick 5 is coming up. 6 furlongs, state bred maiden special weight. Let's check in with Paul LaDuca.
Yeah, this is a difficult race here, and if you try to get around the 6 in here, Tim Bavati, I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a daughter of just a coincidence. Now, taking the blinkers off. Now, 2 races in a row, this horse at 32-1 ran a bang-up race, and then last time out got kind of dismissed at 6-1 from Juan Moquet and Rafael Bejarano. You know, the Beyer figures are not that big. They were there's Arkansas breds, and they were full fields, and the horse did run well. Now the blinkers will come off, and you're wondering if this horse is going to come from off the pace or not. You know, the other horse in here I thought was very interesting was the 1 for Johnny Ortiz. You know, this is a horse that got bet down to 4-1 first time out, and then just didn't show up. His stats second time out are a little bit better, and I think this horse will fire from the rail with David Cabrera. This is affiliated by Tecton. You know, in the Will Pays, it's the 1 and 6, but there's got to be a first-time starter in here, right, that has to run, because I just can't, I really don't trust the 6. Now, the 5 is taking a little money. Hey there, Jogi Girl, I guess you'd pronounce that. When she got out on the racetrack, she was just really hesitant to get into the post parade. Christian Torres really had to urge her to get on the racetrack. I don't know, it wasn't really a great sign. Then she got into her gallop out, but she seemed a little green coming out into the racetrack, so I don't know if I'd take her as a first-time starter. I do think the 11 looked tremendous. Wild Rosie has not shown much, but this horse has been getting bet, and I know it's Brett Calhoun, and maybe everybody's just seeing that. I think that's the other horse in here that maybe could be an upsetter, and the 12 who has run is taking some money. Of the first-time starters, to be honest, I thought the 3 looked the best. And, you know, it seems like Chelsea Bailey has been bringing in some heavy long shots of late. And this is a horse that's got some – I just love the work 2-back, that 48-4. And then the work on January 1st is so slow, it's too good to be true. So at 18-1, this is such a wide-open race. I'll go with the 1, and I'll use the 3 maybe underneath. I'm kind of against the 6 here.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Public not scared away by Tim Bavati backing up the last couple of starts. Speed with this horse, the blinkers come off. And last time I was in that Indian Irish race, who we saw run yesterday, and at a short price did not get it done.
Yeah, I don't like this horse. I'm with Paulie in this race. I mean, I'm not saying he can't win, or she obviously could. But I don't think she's done anything to suggest that she's supposed to be 8-5. And I saw the race, and this is scary for the both of us, very similar to Paulie. I thought the 1 was a very interesting horse. This horse took a lot of money first time out to be 4-1. Was a muddy sealed track, had an outside post, kind of jumped up a little bit, ended up a bit wide. Gets Lasix for the second start. I think a very, very interesting second-time starter, drawing much better, and won't be surprised to see speed from this horse, which isn't going to help Tim Bavati. And then they feel like a firster's going to run. I know Paulie didn't have some great things there by the 5 looking on the track. From a pedigree standpoint, the dam herself ran 80 buyers. She's produced a couple of foals that were okay. They ran buyers in the 70s and 80s, and a field of Arkansas breds. That's a pedigree that's good enough to win. So I was interested in the 1 and 5 in here, and think 7 to 5 on the 6 is just a ridiculous underlay. Basically, if you're betting on the 6, you're saying, I don't think anybody in this race can run at all, because this is not a particularly good horse. Everything's relative. You only have to beat the horses in the race. But there's a lot of unknowns in here. Second-time star like the 1, and first-time stars as well.
Yeah, one of those first-time starters that Paul mentioned that really caught his eye was the 3, who's 18 to 1 on the board. 3-year-old filly debuting for trainer Tim Dixon. Chelsea Bailey will ride.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any reason to have a, I don't know if it doesn't mean just because they're not taking money. We see some prices get into these races, so Paul likes what he sees out there. Why not take a shot? A little bit of pedigree, I thought more for turf with the 2 adamantly. The dam of the 3, Brooks All In, she ran a 74 buyer, so it's not as this is a second foal. The first foal was unraced, so it's not like there's no talent whatsoever on the dam side there.
And if you're thinking about playing this late pick 5, I thought obviously Let Me Love You for Steve Asmussen. He's been cold this meet. That's going to be probably the one to beat. I thought it was wide open. 7th race as well. There's some interesting horses. I know Mahamel's going to take a lot of money.
I agree, but it's a tough race, and Mahamel, is he going to run as well as he did at Churchill Downs? It was a sloppy seal track last time out. Obviously, he ran extremely well, and if he runs back to that race, he'll be tough. But he draws an outside post, going a couple of turns. Yeah, I thought these races were tough. I mean, the 6th race, I would be interested in Laid Straight, but drawing post 12 is not going to do that horse any favors whatsoever. I don't disagree. Obviously, Let Me Love You. I did not look beyond the 7th race.
Well, the last. Certainly Winterwood is going to take a ton of money. Ran a huge number last start, but there's a Tom Drury horse right next door, the 11 Debate. Lightly raced, came back in November, 3-year-old campaign, and won with an impressive number, so maybe a horse on the rise. We're set for the pick 5. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
The last 2 are Wild Rosie and Magnolia May. Magnolia May in the pink cap to the outside. They're at the post. Magnolia May is busted through the gate. Nope, it's not her. It's Wild Rosie. Wild Rosie once again. The Oaklawn Park assistant starters, best in the business, stayed with Wild Rosie. They'll take her behind the gate, and Doc will make sure she's good to go. Thumbs up from Doc. Wild Rosie right back into gate 11. They're at the post. They're off. Hey there, Joji Girl with a very awkward start. Good start for Magnolia May, adamantly at the rail. Tim Bavati between horses. Then comes Aunt Carrie is close up. Indian Spirits on the move outside of Wild Rosie. Then comes Cara Mendel and Feature Red, followed by Pat's Gal, Brooks All In. Then far back to Miss Pony Up, and far, far back to Hey There, Joji Girl. They run into the far turn, and Tim Bavati has the lead. She's 2 lengths in front of Aunt Carrie in second. Adamantly is at the rail. Wild Rosie and Indian Spirit to the outside. Here's Adamantly moving at the fence, and Indian Spirit to the outside. Now they're second and third, and Indian Spirit is up into second. Meanwhile, Tim Bavati has opened up a big lead. So Tim Bavati is the leader at the top of the stretch. She's got a 4-length advantage on Indian Spirit in second. Then comes Adamantly in third. Then it's a big gap to Wild Rosie. Tim Bavati in charge, and she's rolling along. Tim Bavati with a 6-length lead. Indian Spirit and Adamantly battle second and third, but Tim Bavati is much too good, and now she's just running up the score. Tim Bavati in front. Tim Bavati won by 9 lengths. Adamantly got second. Indian Spirit third. Wild Rosie finished fourth.
Tim Bavati, blinkers come off, and she was ready to go today. I think a little bit of it, too. Not a ton behind her in this field.
Yeah, I mean, the one horse got left, and I don't think the one can run at all anymore, at all, so it doesn't really matter. Good call by Paulie in the 5. Hey there, Joji Girl, that horse he was talking about, that horse was acting up on the track. That horse couldn't get out of the gate and obviously can't run, and once she cleared the lead, nobody running behind her, just a facile winner. So I guess the short price was right. I could never bet her, but she found the right field today, that's for sure.
6-5 as the favorite to start the late pick 5 off. Does so with, if you like this one, not having to worry much about it. For Rialto Racing Stables, Ron Moquette and Rafael Bejarano in the irons for the win. Third time the charm for this 3-year-old filly by just a coincidence. Easy time of things here in the 5th to start off the late pick 5. All the prices for you when we come back. We'll talk some Jerome from Saturday on the Derby Trail when we come back.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide, new to Darley.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage on this Sunday afternoon. Live coverage from Aqueduct and from Oaklawn Park out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. 7th race in South Ozone Park goes to Warrior's Revenge, who had won 7 in a row at Finger Lakes. Win streak snapped, coming here to Aqueduct and now right back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, just found a much better pace scenario than last time out when chasing Today's Flavor, who came back and a much more comfortable trip in here and got it done, and got it done quite easily, much the best. An odd race in that nobody really made an impact behind them. The race sort of collapsed behind in the very, very late stages, but nobody else really did any significant running at all.
10 wins from 22 career starts for the year he had last year. I mean, he was 7 for 8, ending the year with those 7 in a row. $12.60 for the win for the son of Warrior's Reward. As we move on to the feature here in New York on the Sunday card. Safe Florida Sandy, 7/8 of a mile. My boy Tate, he's getting up there, 9 years old now. He has been very good over the course of his career.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting horses in here, like My Boy Tate and Bank It as well. What do you think now? It looked like it was going to be good last year. Interesting race coming up. Who do you trust?
Now, here's the Millionaire. This is Bank It. Well, winner last time out, going 7/8 in the mud. Can he do it again for Steve Asmussen? We'll be back.
The Run Happies are hot, hot, hot with his 2-year-olds burning up the track. Recent top runners include this growing list of winners at Churchill Downs. plus the speedy 2-year-old colt, Happy is a Choice, a 5-length maiden winner at Keeneland.
Happy is a Choice, Francisco Arrieta to win it.
Price for value and turning up the heat. Call today and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Adelphi Racing Club, offering a truly personal racing experience. Looking to own thoroughbred racehorses and win at the highest level circuits? We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Experience the Adelphi difference. Join the club today. Contact us to get a taste of the Adelphi racing experience, and let's win races together.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
A star on the New York circuit for nearly his entire 8-year campaign, Say Florida Sandy was a 2-time New York Horse of the Year, the Empire State's 3-time champion sprinter, and a multiple graded stakes winner. The son of Personal Flag banked over $2 million and won 19 stakes from 98 starts. Say Florida Sandy won the 2001 True North Handicap, the 2001 Bold Ruler Handicap, and the Gravesend Handicap in 1998 and 2000.
Say Florida Sandy wins the Gravesend Handicap.
Say Florida Sandy retired in 2003 with 33 wins. He stood 10 seasons at stud in New York prior to his retirement to Old Friends in 2014 and died in 2018 at age 24. Venerable New York breds My Boy Tate, Honor Up, Arthur's Hope, and Our Last Buck have won this race.
Truly one of the great New York breds ever. Say Florida Sandy, and mentioned all the accomplishments. 2-time New York bred Horse of the Year, 19-time stakes winner. The 98 career starts, to me, that's just amazing. You don't see that anymore.
No, it's amazing. I mean, he must have been running a lot of years. He's running 15 or more times. Really an old warrior and a tremendous racehorse when he ran. A fan favorite.
Well, this year's edition, here's one of the prime contenders. What do you think now, who got back to his winning ways, stretching out to a mile last start? Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Well, Greg, Bath has never been my strong suit, but my quick addition here through this 5-horse field got me to just about $3.3 million in purse earnings between these horses. So this is a cool group. As we'll start with What Do You Think Now, as he relishes the colder weather, as his trainer Rudy Rodriguez has reported, with the win last time out in the Alex M. Robb at a distance that really isn't necessarily in his wheelhouse. But you always got to love a horse that has won nearly half of their career starts, and he walked in here like a bull in the china shop. I mean, he was just tugging at both of his handlers on either side of him, and he looks fantastic. And furthermore, getting back to the 7 furlongs, I think is ideal for this guy, and I just really have like what I see from him, probably more than anybody else in here. Don't get me wrong, Bankit, I always have respect and love for him, and he looks sensational as he always does, but it was just really What Do You Think Now that your eye was just immediately drawn through to when they walked into the paddock. Now, I do think Market Alert is a little bit intriguing. He didn't really take that big of a step forward for Rob Atras. First off, the claim But he's a little bit of a strange bird, to say the least. I mean, this is a horse that would refuse to walk through the tunnel at Belmont, refused to go onto the track. I remember one day they literally had to back him onto the track with the pony. It was kind of a bizarre sight. But he is one that will break post-parade. He is or was wearing earplugs when he first walked down here. He doesn't have them in now, but he's very calm. He's acting a lot different than what he used to. And physically, he looks a bit different. Just kind of carries his weight, not necessarily more so, but carries it a bit differently. You know, it's more concentrated in that shoulder mass, in those hindquarters, which is what you like to see. I don't mind the 7 furlongs. And last time out, he broke slowly from the rail. He was guided to the outside to chase wide. I think he's a horse that's going to benefit from the fact that he gets to be drawn to the outside today. Whereas, yes, 2 back, he was in that outside post, and he was a little reluctant to go in, but I just feel like the shorter amount of time he has to stand in there, probably the better for Market Alert. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. There is a look at my boy Tate. So 9 years old now, proved just 2 starts ago, he's still got more left in the tank. Horse has won over 800,000 in his career.
Ran a 98 buyer that day, a figure that would win this race. Almost for sure, unless you get a crazy one. It's like, what do you think now? Ran last year, but I doubt that'll happen. And I just don't know what to say. I mean, what happened, right? I mean, he just completely and totally lost his form. I mean, even the second place finish before his win 2 back was not good enough to be effective. That's why he was a big price, especially with Irad Ortiz. Doesn't even ride a lot of 6-to-1 shots anywhere that he rides. But he ran that day, and then last time, he had nothing. I don't know. I know that he's good enough somewhere in there. I just don't know you can trust him.
Horse who used to be not just extremely talented, but incredibly consistent as well. Meanwhile, here's Reggae Music Man. I know you like him. He's 4-to-1 right now. He comes in off a win, and he'd proven before, even though that win was first allowance condition, he was competitive with, what do you think now, in a stake?
He's running speed figures that make him competitive in this race. I don't think there's anybody that's at the top of their game. And I just thought he ran well. He showed at Saratoga the second to, what do you think now, that he can compete with these kind of horses. And I'm just kind of hoping that maybe he's got a little bit of upside in here, and some of these others are a little past their due date and past being sort of reliable. He's going to drift up from his 4-to-1. He opened up shockingly short, but he's far and away the biggest price if you look at multis, so he's has to go up from there. And I'm just kind of hoping that he's good enough to get it done. I don't love him in here, but I didn't really want any of the shorter priced horses. I don't want Bankit at 3-to-2. He can win without me. I don't think either of his last few races are that good. What do you think now? He runs his last race, he's going to win, but muddy sealed track, and I don't know. I don't trust a lot, so I bet the 2 Reggae Music Man in box 2-5. I'm trying to go off the beaten path.
So here's my boy Tate, 9 years old, for Michelle Nevin, Manny Franco aboard.
Somewhere in there is a horse that can win this race, but whether or not he shows up today is just impossible to know for me.
Manny Franco, 11 wins Friday through Sunday. Reggae Music Man, 4-to-1.
11 wins, including the first race today. He had won 11 of 16 mounts. Gave my speech on him.
Bankit at 3-to-2, Jose Lezcano.
A very good horse when he runs his best race, but is he really at the top of his game despite winning his last?
And now even money. What do you think now? Stretched out, and he won it a mile in the mud at 9-to-1 last start.
Yeah, he ran well. Now, it's not like he got a slow pace either. It was the mud, but he ran. He's just not reliable either.
And Market Alert, 8-to-1. Kendrick Carmouche for Rob Atras.
I feel like he got sort of just run out of the race in the slop last time. I feel like he should have won off the claim for Atras 2 back, but I still think he's good enough that he has a chance to get a piece at a big price.
Well, what do you think now? Had a couple of starts back in January, February of this year that looked like he might be a superstar sprinter. He did not return to those numbers. He did return to the winner's circle last start, but Jonathan still wasn't the kind of figures we saw earlier this year from him.
Yeah, well, you know, he's had some faster numbers, but he feels like the most reliable one of these. He ran extremely well last time, going a little bit further. I think cutting back to the 7 furlongs should help. He's outside of a lot of his main competition. I think that helps as well. He's run well at this distance in the past. I just feel like he's the one that's the most trustworthy. Now, if you looked at how I played that pick 3 that I gave out a little bit earlier, I did kind of single A press the 4. What do you think now? If he doesn't win, I really don't know who else is going to win. I don't trust the horse Bankit. I feel like Bankit wins when circumstances kind of fall into his lap, where he happens to be the best horse in a race, or the race falls apart. I don't think either one of those things can happen here, so I don't necessarily trust him. I've got no problem with Andy's idea with the 2 Reggae Music Man. He's got figures that suggest that he can fit in here. And my boy Tate, he just always seems to be a little bit overbet than what his chances actually are of winning. That's why I ended up just kind of defaulting to the 4. What do you think now? Very similar to the point I tried to make yesterday about Law Professor. Sometimes in these smaller field races, or even the bigger field races, there's a favorite you don't really want to lean on. You try to get cute. You try to go in a different direction, and then next thing you know, you look up and the favorite gallops away from him. I feel like that's what could happen here with What Do You Think Now? So if he doesn't win, I don't really know who's going to win this one.
And we were just talking, thanks, JK, off air, Andy and I, and wow, even money on Bankit getting way over bet here. Let's look at What Do You Think Now, though, in that stretch out to a mile. This was on that muddy track when he went gate to wire.
I guess if you want to sort of give a little more credit to his race, was not only was he involved in the fast pace, but a mile is probably past his scope. So maybe the buyer figure of 84 is more a reflection of him going far and he really wants to go. And now he can cut back a little bit in distance and be more effective to 7 furlongs. And he's supposed to have a pace advantage in here. I just don't trust this horse at all. And to be honest, his barn had been a lot hotter when he was running those races last winter. And while Rudy has done a little bit better than he did in Saratoga, where he struggled with, I think, 2 or 3 winners the whole meet, he's still not winning at a strong clip, and the kind of percentage we've seen in the past, I don't find this horse reliable. And at 2-1, he's going to beat me, much like Banquet's going to beat me at 6-5.
Yeah, we should bring it up too. I know we're in New York right now. Steve Asmussen not sent out many starters here at all, but at Oaklawn, he is struggling. 2 for 43 coming into today from a trainer that's typically in the hunt for the year in, year out for the training title there.
Yeah, but I would never compare his numbers out of town to his Belmont or Aqueduct numbers because it's Toby Sheets. To me, this is the Toby Sheets operation. And I think for me, at least, when I look at stats, when I look at New York, most time I'll look at stats at Naira. But for the Aston Barn, I'll look at stats at Belmont and Aqueduct, or I look at Saratoga when we're up there, because that's when Steve is up there. For the most part, he leaves Toby alone. Toby does a very good job. So I wouldn't equate the stats.
Fair point. Minute to post here coming up in our Sunday feature. Say Florida Sandy, 6-5. Lot of love for Bankit in this spot. The Millionaire, little surprising as we get set to load. Momentarily, let's go back to Maggie.
I'm really glad that Andy brought that up about Toby Sheets being at the helm here of the Asmussen Barn in New York, because for me, I've always felt as though Bankit does do very well when he's under Toby's care and tutelage. And furthermore, we brought up about him last time, in that he was running those races off the Dubai layoff kind of back to back. And so he was, yes, a bit disappointing in that West Point, but I felt as though he had a bit of an excuse. Then they let him have a little bit of time to recoup. And now we're seeing this month by month kind of running, which I like for this horse. It seems to be kind of the timing he prefers. I do not love him at 6-5, but I also feel as though he's a horse that's now displayed that he can be close enough going the 7 furlongs to be effective. He scares me, but again, like everyone else, Greg, I can't take him at this price in the Say Florida Sandy.
A lot of love for Bankit. It is, even if he repeats his last race, I mean, there's a very good chance that is not near good enough to win here.
I agree with that. I don't quite get it. I mean, I really don't. I'm scared that the 4 is going to wire the field, even though I don't particularly like him. What do you think now? I'm going to lose him. I'm comfortable losing if Bankit wins this race.
And that's what Maggie had talked about with Market Alert before. They had to back him up to the gate again here today. So he's a bit of a bad actor.
Hot barn.
Kendrick Carmouche aboard, the starting gate crew. Hands full with this one. Say Florida Sandy, Sunday feature. Going 7/8 of a mile. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin.
Market Alert goes in. All in line. All set for the Say Florida Sandy. Front of the gate opened here. It's on the 2 Reggae Music Man. Now we'll reset. And they're off. What do you think now? Right out to the front, there's Bankit to the inside, is going to apply some pressure. Out wider is going to be Market Alert, and at the rail, it's My Boy Tate. The trailer, Reggae Music Man. What do you think now has got the lead, is up by a neck. Market Alert and Kendrick Carmouche right up alongside, and they're now 1-2. Bankit is tracking off of them in third. Then comes My Boy Tate, who's at the rail in fourth. Reggae Music Man has got 4 lengths now to make up as they work up the backstretch. They went 22-4 for that opening quarter mile. What do you think now is still a neck in front? It's what do you think now with Market Alert. These two into the far turn. Bankit is watching the action from third, and My Boy Tate's still there in fourth. Reggae Music Man continues to trail. Here comes Market Alert, ready to challenge. What do you think now? Who's still a nose in front? It's still what do you think now and Market Alert, and Bankit continues to progress, is going to come up alongside here 3 wide after these pace setters. They went 45.58 for a half-mile time. They approach a quarter mile left to go. What do you think now is trying to dig deep here, hugs the rail. What do you think now has found a touch more? Market Alert continues to chase from second. Bankit has had every chance, and now 3 across the racetrack. My Boy Tate switches to the outside, and Reggae Music Man a furlong left to go. What do you think now is still there? What do you think now? Bankit's going to try one final time here with Market Alert. What do you think now is almost there? What do you think now wins the Say Florida Sandy? What do you think now? Then a photo there, Market Alert, with Bankit in 1 minute 24.23 seconds.
Back-to-back New York bred stakes wins for what do you think now? Really had to dig in here.
He did. Market Alert really put it to him a little bit in this race. It wasn't particularly fast-paced, but they weren't crawling up front. It was essentially a merry-go-round race. They were basically 4, 5, 3, 1, 2 around the racetrack, and that's how they finished. The Market Alert ran well to be second. Bankit had his chance. He just couldn't really even get there. He couldn't even get to second. But what do you think now? Has the pace advantage? But I wouldn't say that he got an easy lead. It's an honest pace in here. He was able to gut it out.
Yeah, Market Alert tested him throughout in this race, able to put that one away, and not really a threat late from Bankit, even though he was looming like he was going to make a big move at some point. It never came.
Yeah, I bet against this horse, and I was dead wrong.
4, 5, 3, 1. What do you think now? 9 wins now, 20 career starts. He's 7 for 11 at Aqueduct as we head back to Oaklawn. Start of the late pick four. It's a mile and a 16th, $50,000 maiden claiming race. Let's go back to Paulie.
Thanks, Greg. I'm upstairs here in the front runner room, in a little bar over here. And if you could see, little simulcast little place, as you can tell, it seems like a lot of the old timers like to come up here because it's free. You get to come up here and sit down, watch the races as well, and get a little drink as well. You can get non-alcoholic beverage as well as, but a good little spot if you want to do a little bit of simulcasting or bet some other places as well. And it's free to get up here. And all you got to do is walk down to the box and you can watch the race live right on the winner's circle. This race is the toughest race I've seen on the card. Right now, I think the favorite was 5-1, and there were co-favorites at 5-1. You know, I like the 3 Leola, and the horse had been bet down from 15-1 down to 5-1. You know, this horse has been 48-1 and 45-1 in 2 starts, but Johnny Ortiz looks like his barn's is starting to kick in a little bit. Good second yesterday. I think he's got another very, very good runner a little bit later, and Card's got a big shot. DeLuca, the 4, got to give a shout out to Anthony Valinati. He told me to tell Maggie Wolfendale, you know you love my pizza, Maggie. DeLuca's is a place here in Hot Springs that's known for their pizza and their hamburgers. Source only run first time out, and then they're dropping for 50. There's so many different question marks in this race. Same with Juilliard, the 6. The 7, Let Me Love You. There's just so many different ways you can go. I'm going to land on the 3, Leola. I'm going to half root for DeLuca's because I don't know if he's half related to me or not.
DeLuca, LaDuca, we'll see. We know this. Go Get the Pizza. It's very good.
It is good.
Major very contender. Good. I'm surprised that horse is actually a 10-1.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that horse debuted in a sloppy track. Going out for Riley Mott. We've talked about Riley, who's gone out on his own, and we wish him a lot of luck. I agree. Why is that horse 10-1 and the 2 or 3 5-1 in here? It doesn't really make sense to me. I'm not sure about the money they're taking. Definitely the horse that's dead on the board is the number 7, Let Me Love You. That horse just throw out the synthetic track race and the prior figure of 60 makes the horse to beat. I mean, you were talking about the Aspen barn being cold, but I think you were assuming, like I was, that this horse would be the favorite in here.
Yeah, I thought he would be.
Yeah, 7-1. Either he's just dead on the board or he's a massive overlay. I think 8 Straight is very dangerous as a racehorse, but gets Lasix first time, but he's got that far outside post, and I just don't know how he works out a trip because he's got speed, and there's speed inside of him, and they're going to hit that turn pretty darn quickly.
Yeah, it comes up fast. These 2 turns at a mile and a 16th. Yeah, back to the 7, Let Me Love You, for Asmussen. His son's riding, who's yet to win at the meet, but he's got really 3 races that make him the horse to beat in here.
No, I agree. It's not like he's got the one race and then he's got a reasonable excuse, because you look at him, he's sandwiched, the 3 good races are sandwiched between a turf race and a synthetic race. This is the service he belongs on. I don't think either of you and I love this horse. He's had some chances, but at 7-1, he seems like just a ridiculous overlay.
Not a bad price either on 8 Straight, but a tough outside post with how quickly that turn comes up for the Kenny McPeek 3-year-old. This race, I thought, made the pick 5 worth playing because it's so wide open, and of course a pick 4 starts here, so if you can try and narrow things down here, could be in good shape.
Except I would have been betting against the 6-5 that won the last race, or using him among a bunch, so I'd already have bad value.
Here we go. Pick 4 begins from Hot Springs in a wide open race. Paulie mentioned toughest betting race on the card. I agree. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
And 8 Straight. They're at the post. They're off. Good start for Juilliard and Backside Buzz. Leola's close up. Chicago's Gray is on the move, and they are flat flying early with Backside Buzz to put a neck in front. Chicago's Gray is 3 wide outside of Juilliard. Then comes Leola, followed by Rocking Rocket, and at the rail, Nicholas Arthur. Cambiaso is midfield. He's a length in front of both Pure Pressure, and inside of him is DeLuca. Then a length and a half further back to the back markers, 8 Straight and Let Me Love You with Pure Pressure, and they are match racing and fairly flying up the backstretch. Going to be tough for any one of these 3 to do it. Chicago's Gray is 3 wide. Juilliard is between horses, and Backside Buzz is now going to back off those 2. That'll be a tough trip for him, though, a length and a half from the front. Those 3 have opened up about 8 or 9 lengths on Leola. Another 2 back to Rocking Rocket. Cambiaso has about 9 or 10 lengths to make up. Outside of him goes 8 Straight. Then comes Nicholas Arthur, followed by Pure Pressure. And at the back of the pack is Let Me Love You. And at the front of the pack is Juilliard. Juilliard has taken the lead. Backside Buzz is running a big race because he's coming up now to try to re-engage, but now stretch runners are coming. One of them is Leola, Rocking Rocket to the outside. Cambiaso has 6 to make up. Top of the stretch, Juilliard, Backside Buzz, and to the outside, Leola. These 3 come to the final furlong. Backside Buzz maybe a half a head in front. Moving in the center is 8 Straight and Rocking Rocket. Backside Buzz and Juilliard. They're still there and they're battling it out, and Juilliard has the lead. Backside Buzz. Now here comes Rocking Rocket in the center, and he's gonna get there. Rocking Rocket. Rocking Rocket beat Juilliard. 3rd was DeLuca, and 4th Backside Buzz.
Rocking Rocket at 40-1 for the coach D. Wayne Lucas from Off the Pace.
You almost feel bad for Juilliard. He ran an unbelievable race considering the pace in there, but Rockin' Rocket wins it, and it just seems to me like more often than not when I see Wayne Lucas win a race, I look down and go, really? Horse ran 16 Beyer points combined in his 2 starts, getting beaten by a combined total of 69 lengths. He was dropping, and he did take some money in those races, but really? Wow. I mean, he got a good pace to close, but he's the only one that made any real kind of run.
Second biggest price on the board at 40-1 for the legendary D. Wayne Lucas. And the horse had really no form to go off of. But dropping in class, had gone off slow the first 2 starts, was adding blinkers. And it's D. Wayne. But that is a hard one to have. What do you think now? Say Florida Sandy winner? Back-to-back stakes wins for this 6-year-old who's now 9 for 20 lifetime in his career. Dylan Davis for Rudy Rodriguez. We'll be back. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage, presented in part by NYRA Bets, where you can play all the action. Go to nyrabets.com to get signed up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Say Florida Sandy, it goes to what do you think now? Gritty effort in here in a pace battle with Market Alert and able to hold off that horse and bank it for the win.
Yeah, and it wasn't a slow pace. I mean, he had to work to earn it. Now, I know nobody made up a lot of ground in here, but still, it was not his pace. Market Alert really took it to him, and he grounded out.
$5.80 for the win, owned by the Elkstone Group. Rudy Rodriguez, winning trainer, and Dylan Davis aboard for the victory. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Here with winning rider Dylan Davis aboard. What do you think now? Back-to-back stakes victories with this horse for you, Dylan. He's just one cool dude, and he loves a fight.
He does, Maggie. I've been breezing him a couple times in the morning. He's a very aggressive horse, very big, and he travels well. Today we're shortened up from the mile to the 7. Just want to be aggressive. There was some stalking speed that could have been potential, but was able to break well. I had Kendrick on my outside pressing the pace on me, but you know what? I went into a full drive at the half-mile pole. I know he has it for me. I feel like it's a little short for him, but I knew that he'd have some more down the stretch, and I just kept riding him, and he continues to find more.
Well, do you think shortening up a furlong from that mile victory, which was hard-earned as well, kind of gave him that stamina that he needed today to see this out?
Oh, definitely. You know, because he handled the mile well. I knew I had a little bit of punch, so I was able to ride him earlier than usual. And because of that, then I just kept staying with him, and he prevailed for us.
Well, Dylan, he picks up his 9th career win, 2nd for you. He has a lot of fans. Congratulations.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, what do you think now? He's a handsome horse, but he's also ultra talented on the racetrack, getting yet another stakes victory for this New York bred, Greg.
And I would assume, thank you, Maggie, he's got some big targets to look forward to later this summer if he can stay in sharp form in Saratoga.
Absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of those New York bred races for him. This really was a good race for him. I mean, it's obviously not the kind of huge figures he was running last year, but at least a sign he's putting some consistency together and he's starting to run well again. So always a good sign. What about Dylan? Going to get Dylan a grade 1 and a real grade 1? those Canadian grade ones,
Oh,
those
wow.
faux Canadian grade ones.
First Group 1 win of his career. Yeah, came on the grass for Christophe Clement. They count. Back at Oaklawn, how about this? $83 winner for the legendary Dwayne Lucas. He owns this horse as well, who'd shown absolutely nothing the first 2 starts of his career. Just keeps grinding away from off the pace for the win here.
And the question really is whether or not Wayne had the super. A man who's known to like to play supers.
It's a $20,000 maiden claiming race. Cheeky Tico, the one to beat, opens up at 9-5. You, I know, are against. Why?
I mean, listen, obviously he can win. It's very hard to make a case for anybody outside of the 1, 2, or 8. But I just find that race where he ran the big figure 2 back to be a questionable field, those horses overall. And I don't know how much I trust him at 7 furlongs. I honestly think if he got a horse off a little layoff and cutting back, I prefer the Tom Morley horse in the rail downtown connector.
Talk more through this field when we return. That 2-horse expected to be part of the speed, if not the speed, although the 5's quick as well. We'll have more on this nightcap from New York when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
Very powerful colt, very square and behind, carried a lot of muscle, a lot of strength. Obviously bred and raised the Windstar, which is a great sort of advertisement for them and the stallion that stands there.
Constitution himself has really good physiology. I mean, he was impressive on the track. He had the physiology himself to be successful, and it seems like he's putting that into his foals.
I actually loved him from, the first look I saw him. Big, strong horse, great strength about him, great mind, great athlete.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions and offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. Saturday, January 14th is Skyway Festival Day. Watch talented 3-year-olds compete in 2 $125,000 stakes races, the Pasco for Colts and Geldings and the Gasparilla for Fillies. Featuring full fields, great turf track racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Maggie Wolfadale. We have Jonathan Kinch and Paula Duca with us as well. Nightcap coming up in New York, of course, on Saturday. We were down the Derby Trail in the Jerome, and Michael McCarthy, just the fact showing up here. Reason to think Lugan Knight might have a shot in here. He had been 0 for 14, however, in his career in New York. First horse he breaks through with, and he sent City of Light, CC, the lieutenant here a few times, and been beat.
Well, I think it's possible that Michael actually got the worst Irad Ortiz ride in a Grade 1 stake ever when City of Light lost to Whitmore up in the Forego. I imagine that's what even Irad would like to have back, where he ended up 4 or 5 wide around the track and Whitmore came up the rail. He's a very good trainer, obviously, just a matter of time for him. When the Connections, for whatever reason, decided to rate Andiamo a Firenze, very good move by Dylan, being aggressive, putting him in the front. Number 6 horse, Arctic Arrogance for Linda Rice, he rated. And it seemed like he was going to go by this horse, but he just didn't seem as comfortable rating. But a very nice game effort by Lugan Knight.
Linda Rice, trainer of your runner-up, said might have been a little heavy, did miss a work with him. So,
well, she's got the trainer book.
Did come in here a little bit heavy. We'll see if he moves forward. Pointing to the Withers, that'll be February 4th, Arctic Arrogance. As for your winner, Lugan Knight, pointing to March 4th to Gotham, and that would be again at a mile.
Yeah. No, listen, I think that I think that Michael's looking at him logically and saying, how good he is going forward. You still want to find out. You've got a lot of time to see and a lot of different choices to make. And the thing is, if he's a horse, goes well in the Gotham, he probably takes a shot in a race like the Wood. If he doesn't want to go longer, he's not good enough, or he's a better horse going shorter, you can always cut him back to races like the Woody Stevens and the Alan Jerkins, 2 Grade 1 and very important races. So I won't be surprised to see this horse maybe move forward to some kind of big races, whether or not it's the Derby, the Triple Crown races, or other ones.
Positive sign, too, that at least figure-wise he did take a step forward.
No, I agree. I think he had a good trip in there. It was not a particularly strong pace, but it wasn't super slow. But on the other hand, they're lightly raced horses, and he took a step forward to a mile, and he handled it. You can't really ask any more of him. He hadn't shown yet to be a super horse, but he's taking steps forward, and he obviously has some talent. And we'll see. And he's got a good trainer to get there.
Does a gate to wire going longer than he had ever gone in his career. Lugan Knight, Michael McCarthy, BG Stables, Dylan Davis, your winning connections on the road to the Derby here in 10 points to get into that starting gate for Saturday in May this year. 9th from Aqueduct finale coming up. There's Maddie Olver. She'll ride for Tom Morley in here. And there's Tom with a contender in Downtown Connector.
Yeah, this is a funny horse for Tom because he's coming out of 2 races at Fairgrounds, all of them. He just doesn't have any speed. But what's interesting is, look at his first race. He was in a 6-furlong race, and he was actually attending what seemed to be a pretty quick pace. Then they stretched the horse out, and the horse had absolutely no speed whatsoever. It's just sort of odd, right? So now he brings him back in a sprint off a layoff. So is he using him to prep for a stretch out, or is he thinking, it wasn't really the best race he ran from a speed figure standpoint, but it was interesting, just the running style difference. And it'll be wonder, where is he going to be placed in today's race? Because I think with a scratch of the 7, Naked and Famous, who stumbled badly at the start, I think he's gone on the front end.
This horse is the 6-5 favorite, Cheeky Tico, and he's got a couple of races that make him the deserving favorite, including that race 2 back at Belmont. He's a new gelding. He's been off since July 29th at Saratoga. There are reasons, though, to be skeptical.
Yeah, he's erratic, right? I mean, last time out he was in a very, very tough field. I'm not going to hold his performance against him. I really don't think it was any worse than the one before it. But you now have a horse that's coming off a near 6-month layoff that's taking a precipitous drop in company down to 20,000, just as the one off the layoff taking a big drop down. So I think both of them have to be a little bit concerning. I think one of the difference between them and Naked and Famous is he was claimed for 20,000. He's not really dropping for Linda. And the other thing I like about Naked and Famous is he's running for the waiver. He's not in for 20.
Here's Downtown Connector for the Morley Barn with Matty Olver.
So we're going to see this horse more forward? Has he lost all his speed? I think that's one of the biggest questions.
Naked and Famous, quick work as well, coming in. Been off since Saratoga.
Should we assume he's named for the Naked Cowboy? Is that what it is? I don't even know.
Oh, could be.
No, exactly. But this horse stumbled badly. He's supposed to be in front. His debut, he ran in a killer field.
Golden Purchase, Jackie Davis.
Probably not, as it turns out, a Golden Purchase.
Lowest level that he's run at yet in start number 8. The 4, Poppy on Ice.
He's just had plenty of chances, but Randy Brousseau does seem to win sometimes with goofy horses. Maybe he'll be one of them.
Dad's good runner. This horse, turf speed, dirt speed as well, and turf speed is usually quicker than most on dirt.
Yeah, we'll see if he's as fast, though, as the horse. He could be. He could be stalking the 2. See.
Here's the 8, Cheeky Tico, favorite at 6-5.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much pace he gets. They are going 7 furlongs, and that may be a bit of a concern for the number 2 horse and maybe helps him a little bit, but I don't trust this drop down the layoff.
3 minutes to post in this Sunday finale from South Ozone Park. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, I liked some of the horses down towards the inside that Andy had mentioned, but I just worry about the pace scenario, and that's kind of why I lean towards the outside with the 8. The other thing is, when you're looking at these maiden claiming races, one of the things I always start with is who are the maiden special weight types that have shown a little bit of ability, and that's why I ended up landing on the 8, Cheeky Tico, because this horse has shown some speed against maiden special weights. Ran really well, maiden 50, almost won there. Is drawn outside. You get the red-hot Manny Franco, who's going to make all the right decisions. At least you'd like to think that's the case. This horse does come in off of a break, which is a little bit of a concern. Is the horse going to run his absolute best? But I feel good about the fact that this horse has run well, showing some pace against maiden special weights, is drawn towards the outside, and projects to be forwardly placed. Not necessarily sure if they'll be on the lead, but forwardly placed. The other one that I thought was interesting was the 5, Dad's Good Runner. Another one who has some tactical speed. In the dirt races, were actually okay. There's a couple of okay races, even some of the ones where they ran poorly. There's a little bit of an excuse. Those were all versus maiden special weight. And then the speed figures on the turf seem that maybe this horse is taking a step forward, starting to kind of figure it out, understand the job, now getting back on the dirt. I thought the 5 was a little bit interesting as well. But for me, it's going to be the 8, Chiquitico. The 5, Dad's Good Runner, makes a little bit of sense as well. But as always, it's hard to make a wager without hearing from my friend Maggie Wolfendale first.
JK, go with the 5 instead of the 8. No, I'm kidding. But we do have several horses coming back off layoffs that are logical contenders in here, and we'll just start numerically. And the one coming out the longest layoff is number 1, Downtown Connector, whom, as Andy correctly said, showed weirdly speed going short, but not necessarily going long in subsequent 2 starts. Now, I remember he always, when we were preparing to make that first start, Tom was very concerned about him getting out of the gate. Well, he did the first time. They love to surprise you and humble you. And then he did what we thought he always would do, would be slow. And I'm not sure from that inside post that he was really laid back in the paddock. But I will say that Matty Oliver, who has been working him a little bit in the morning, did take him away from the pony and give him a really, really nice warm up. My problem is he's just a long, scopy horse, and maybe seven is the right distance from that layoff perspective. I just wish he looked a bit more fit, to be honest. As we'll check in with number 2, Naked and Famous. He did the crab walk out of the gate in his last start. And Andy's right, he's a speed in here, but I'm a little concerned about the 7 furlongs, that it might be a little too far for this guy, as he's just small, compact. He doesn't really strike you as one that's really going to be able to see things out going that distance. But he comes in looking better than what I'd seen him up in Saratoga. He's filled out a little bit more, and it's always a vote of confidence when a high turnover barn like Linda Rice runs one for the waiver. As we'll move on to number 5, Dad's Good Runner. I like this horse in here. He's the one that probably looks best off the layoff relative to what I've seen from him in the past. I don't mind him on the dirt. It's kind of funny looking at his pedigree. He was supposed to be a good runner, being by Gun Runner out of Seeking the Silver, who produced multiple grade 1 winning individuals, but it does seem as though her production has slowed down the older she's gotten. But still, at this level, he's worth every bit of 7 to 1 from what I've observed from him in these preliminaries. And then there's Chiquitico, who I will say this is the best he's looked behind the saddle. Always a horse that struggled with kind of looking weak back there as he returns as a gelding. So that always helps a horse that struggles behind. He did get awfully washy when they were saddling him, and I just don't like to see that with horses that are coming off of layoffs, especially at even money, Greg.
Short price, no question here on Chiquitico. First start backs in Saratoga late July.
I could never take even money on this horse. I can understand him winning, but I could never take him at even money. I don't love these kind of drop downs. I really don't.
It's a rare race where you have everyone at least 4 years old or older, and that's one of my issues with Naked and Famous, who he may win here, but this is a 5-year-old who didn't debut until midway through his 4-year-old campaign.
Right. He also ran behind Accretive, and I know he got beaten a lot, but Accretive lost by a head or nose to Gunite in his next start in the Amsterdam, and he ran off with speed. But obviously, is it a stamina issue, or is there something going on with him? I guess we'll find out today, but keep in mind, Linda's running him at 7/8, so it's not like she doesn't know the distance is 7/8. But maybe it's the only really race that came up for him, and she sort of had to run, right?
Nightcap from New York. There's the favorite. Short price on this 4-year-old, new gelding. We'll see if it makes a difference here. Manny Franco, he's been the hot hand all weekend. Equaled an Aqueduct record with 6 wins on Friday, 4 more on Saturday. Won the opener today. See if he can close out this weekend with a 12th winner.
Amazing.
Oh, here's Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Chiquitico has asked for speed, so is Dad's Good Runner. It's Dad's Good Runner with a head in front, and there is Naked and Famous. Naked and Famous is now up by 3/4 of a length. Dad's Good Runner is right there from second. Chiquitico is going to stalk from third. It's a gap of another 3. Back to Golden Purchase, who's to the outside of Downtown Connector, and the early trailer is Papillon Ice. Naked and Famous has got the lead. It's Naked and Famous who's up by a half length. Dad's Good Runner is right there in second, and Chiquitico at 4 to 5 is under a tight hold from third. Downtown Connector is progressing at the rail, is in the 4th spot. In behind that comes Golden Purchase. And far back still is Pappy on Ice. They went 23 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. To the inside, it's Naked and Famous trying to shake loose here from Dad's Good Runner. Cheeky Tico is called upon for the effort from 3rd. Is getting closer within 2.5 of the lead. Then Downtown Connector, Golden Purchase, Pappy on Ice has 7 to make up. Naked and Famous has a nose in front, but here comes Dad's Good Runner to the outside. Dad's Good Runner has now put a nose in front as they approach the top of the stretch. 46 and 4 was at half-mile time. Dad's Good Runner and Naked and Famous, and now Cheeky Tico starts to commence a rally down the center of the racetrack as they approach an 1/8 of a mile to go. Dad's Good Runner is still there. Cheeky Tico is now making up ground up on the outside. Cheeky Tico, Dad's Good Runner. Cheeky Tico, Dad's Good Runner. Cheeky Tico, Dad's Good Runner. Cheeky Tico. Who else? Manny Franco wins the finale. Cheeky Tico over Dad's Good Runner. Then came Naked and Famous and Pappy on Ice in 1 minute 26.72 seconds.
So 12 wins over the last 3 cards for jockey Manny Franco. What a weekend for him, and the odds-on favorite. He does dip down to odds-on in the end here. 4-5 gets the win.
If you bet 4 to 5 shots in your life that need to get this kind of trip to win, you're going to go broke sooner than later. But Manny just had a great week, and this horse sat the perfect trip. The number 2 Naked and Famous ran fine, couldn't get the 7 furlongs, but the pace ended up being pretty quick. It wasn't that much slower than the stake we ran today, and a very good effort by the runner-up as well. Going 7 furlongs, cut into it. And this horse had enough speed to be close to his credit, but he worked out an absolutely perfect trip. Nobody besides the first 3 ran a step.
6 wins on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and wins the opener and the nightcap. Manny Franco on the Sunday card. As we head back to Oaklawn, race 7, 50,000 starter allowance and a 2-turn mile wide open betting board. It's Mac Daddy 2 right now, who's the favorite at 3-1. Let's go to Paul.
Thanks, Greg. And I just wanted to backtrack to where we were in the last race with Mikel Michel and D. Wayne Lucas bringing home a 40-1 shot. D. Wayne's down there in the tunnel, so I ran over there and asked him, D. Wayne, did you have the super? I was a little birdie up there in New York named Andy Serling, wanted to know if you had the super. He started dying laughing, and he said, tell Andy, reluctantly, no. He goes, but I did have a small win ticket, but he would not release the price of that win ticket. So congratulations to D. Wayne Lucas. He was laughing and having fun with it, and a good ride by Mikel Michel. And if you think about it, that's really the first horse in the last 3 days that has rolled down the center of the racetrack, besides the other 40-1 shot, the one yesterday. So the 2 longest shots so far in the last 3 days that have actually rolled down the rear of the racetrack have been 40-1. So let's get to this race. In another difficult race here, Mac Daddy 2. I mean, is this horse a turf horse or not? Is this horse getting bet because it's Christian Torres and Robertina Diodoro? This is such a tricky race here, as all of them have been. You know, you look at the 10, Albazu, the other one for Robertina Diodoro, and, you know, this is a horse that has won races. The thing that I can't figure out is the 10, Mahamil, 8-5, and I thought this horse would be getting bet. Now, you know, the thing around the 10 was, okay, could this horse go 2 turns? Well, he proved that he can go 2 turns on a sloppy racetrack, but at least he got the distance and barely lost. I get that he doesn't have that kind of knockout punch, but his numbers kind of lay over this field if he runs this race. It's a little suspicious to me that he's 7-2 and he's not the overwhelming favorite in here. They are landing on the 6 Mac Daddy 2. I do think 50-cent dollars. Kind of interesting. You know, Chris Hartman had this horse. They shipped this horse out to Shelby Ruiz. A lot of people don't know who Shelby Ruiz is. Excuse me. She's the one that trained Bolt D'Oro. So she knows what she's doing. This horse won by off lengths at Del Mar in a pretty quick time, too. So those 16-9-2s, I know they're weak out in California, but I wouldn't dismiss the 5 here at all here at 6-1. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot on the 5. I do think the 6. I just don't know what's going on with the 10 here. I thought the 10 would be a way lower price than 7-2.
Yeah, Paulie, thanks. I mean, look, huge figure for Mahamel the 10 last time out, but it came on a wet track, and maybe trying to figure out why this horse is so cold on the board.
Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing. I'd bet him last time. Joe Sharp has incredible numbers off the claim with dirt routers at Churchill Downs in particular. So is he a horse geared up for his first start off the claim? And keep in mind, this is a horse that was cut out to be an extraordinarily good horse for trainer Todd Pletcher. He lost a photo to First Captain, a graded stakes horse, in his debut. He ran behind Bo Liam and Witzel in one of the fastest non-winner one races ever run.
Barely missed it. What do you think now?
I mean, this is right. This is a horse that at times in his career, he just went the wrong way, but he's the kind of horse you get him back. He's got some talent somewhere in there.
7-2 at last look on the board. As we get set for the 7th here, late pick 3, and it is, you know, a horse with not a lot of dirt form. The 6, Mac Daddy 2 for Robertino Diodoro, first off the claim. He's so good first off the claim. Favored, but has yet to win on dirt. This will be the 3rd try. Vic Stauffer with the call, 7th from Hot Springs.
They're at the post. They're off. Slow start, St. Andrews. Good start, Mac Daddy 2 and 50 cent dollars. Can't Hush This is on the move. Then comes Mia Comet. Mahamal's in a tight spot. Might have to check out of there. Summer in Malibu also in very tight. Katoth is next, followed by St. Andrews and Mia Comet. Driven One is second last. He's third last in front of Sono Grotto, and the trailer is the slow starting St. Andrews. Good pace onto the backstretch, set jointly by Mac Daddy 2 and 50 cent dollars. And they go at it. 50 cent dollars inside, Mac Daddy 2 outside. They have sprinted 4 lengths clear of Can't Hush This and Mia Comet. It's another 2.5 back to Mahamel. He's in the white blinkers with 6 lengths to make up and a length in front of Summer in Malibu. Katoth and Stellar Tap have 10 to close. They're 2 in front of Carnivore. Driven One is 13 lengths behind and then next is Sono Grotto, and the trailer is St. Andrews, 3 furlongs to the wire, which is the 16th pole, Mac Daddy 2. And 50 cent dollars continue to match strides. 50 cent dollars inside, Mac Daddy 2 outside, and 50 cent dollars has just inched away now. He's a full length in front. To the outside, and Katoth and Mia Comet. They're both in with chances. 2.5 back to Stellar Tap. They run towards the top of the stretch, and 50 cent dollars has the lead. He's narrowly in front, but in the center of the racetrack and charging is Katoth and Mahamal. And here comes Mahamal to challenge 50 cent dollars, who is counter punching. 50 cent dollars, Mahamal, 50 cent dollars, Mahamal, 50 cent dollars, right together, 50 cent dollars. Just beat Mahamal. Mia Comet was third, and Stellar Tap finished fourth.
Tight finish. It looks like it's 50 cent dollars, who, if it was this horse shipping in from the West Coast, that's 3 in a row.
And listen, he ran very well because he made the first move into what was a pretty quick pace. Felt like Mahamal had him for sure. But much like his last race, Mahamal hung a bit in the late stages. A big stretch run down there, but this one switching to Chris Hartman gets it done. Nick Juarez starting out that Oakland meet very, very well.
Back-to-back wins at Los Alamitos, Del Mar, as Paulie talked about, for Shelby Ruiz, moving to Chris Hartman, moving to the Midwest, and the win streak continues.
Yeah, he just, Mahamal's got a little hang in him, huh?
Yeah.
He really does. He should have gotten by this horse. It's a frustrating loss if you had him, but he should have gotten by.
50 cent dollars for Ruiz Racing. Daryl Priest owns this one as well. Well, the price is for you when we come back. Tight finish in a thriller down the stretch. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, some hardware to be collected before it's all said and done for Flightline and Off to Stud. What a 2022 he gave fans. We'll be back right after this.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery was a multiple graded stakes winner at 2, including this victory in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Cash Call Futurity. On the track, his recent top runners include these star performers.
It's Midnight Memories who takes the lead. Midnight Memories, much the best in the Zenyatta. Scores by 3.5.
Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on FS1 with America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Thanks for being with us. Nightcap in New York. Cheeky Tico gets it done. Career start number 8 drops down to 4-5 for the victory.
He got some perfect trip to get it done, but he got it done, and Manny Franco caps off just an amazing weekend for him. Winning with 11 of 16 mounts the first race today. And I think there's an inquiry at Oaklawn. It did feel as though, and I was going to actually, I mean, not to say, I was going to say, it did feel like the winner, the horse who finished first, came out a little bit. And I know you and I are rooting for perhaps a change.
We'll see what happens here. Unofficially 5-10, 11-3. So here's the head-on.
Okay, the outside horse is the 10. Right now, there hasn't been any contact. Actually, the 10's drifting in a little bit. There's about as much chance there'll be a change here as that I go home and I dunk a basketball when I'm getting off the subway. Now, maybe it'll be a Nerf one. It'll be a 4 or 5 foot hoop, but otherwise I'm in trouble.
Doesn't seem like there's a lot there. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, guys, it was kind of really interesting. The stewards stuck up the inquiry, and Francisco Arrieta, Vic Stauffer came over to the announcer's booth and said, we're going to hold up the race. Francisco Arrieta has not lodged an objection yet, but there was an inquiry. Then he went in to talk to the stewards. Then he announced there was an objection. Now, Nicky Juarez came out, and they both talked to stewards. Nicky wouldn't even really talk to me. It seems like he's very upset, and they were having a couple words like, bro, there was nothing there. I don't know what you're even lodging an objection about. So, and if you look at the head-on, it got really dark there towards the end, so it's going to be really hard for the stewards to see that. I didn't see much, but it was really weird circumstances that the inquiry got put up without the objection, and then Arrieta came in after the race to lodge the objection. But as of right now, the stewards still looking at it.
And Paul's right, the shadows do make it tough to see what happens late.
They do, but I mean, if anything, I would say the 10 was coming in initially to create some contact. And I feel like once the 10 comes in a bit and makes it tight, he sort of loses that sort of higher ground, you know? And I agree with you. It's off. There's going to be no change here.
All right, so result will stand, 50 cent dollars, 3 straight wins. Moving to a new barn. Moving to Oaklawn. Does not make a difference. This horse on a roll right now.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, that was a big step up for this horse. The wins made in 20, 16 non-winners at 2, beating a much better field here.
This is the race you've been waiting all weekend.
Some bonus coverage, yeah. Tampa Bay on the turf for the 9th, mile of 16th on the turf. $16,000 maiden claiming race.
I mean, I wish I could tell you I had something to say about this race, but Greg, I just don't. They've all had plenty of chances. I'm going to guess the 4. Kazakin is the favorite in here. Runs the fastest races, the fastest figs of anybody in here, and just looks to be better than these horses on paper. But I'm not taking a big position.
Yeah, that's the 9-5 favorite, but she has had plenty of opportunities. 0 for 9 on the lawn. The other one taking some play here, the 9.
The good news is, with that long walk, they'll get this race off in sometime in the next 20 minutes.
So the 9 horse, by the way, 0 for 13 on the turf.
Well, they've all, except for the 2 Guidance and the number 6 Freedom Express, had more than their share of chances.
Prices from Oaklawn. So that result stands $50 $18, 20 cents for the win, 5, 10, 11 there. And very good sprint coming up next in Hot Springs.
Well, I haven't looked, so I'm going to have to take your word for it.
I'll be joined by Maggie Wolfendale in just a little bit here. We'll bring you the 8th and 9th from Oaklawn.
Isn't Guidance kind of the interesting horse in the last at Tampa? Ran a figure that would win this first time out and finishing 3rd in his debut for Jorge Abreu. A New York bred that they shipped down there to run the turf for purses that are minuscule compared to the New York bred purses up here. Not sure why they didn't put him away for the winter, but they didn't. And he didn't run well last time, but did have a very wide post in there. So draws much better. So I think Guidance is probably the interesting horse, because don't you just want to look for a horse that hasn't had that much experience, as opposed to so many horses in this race, Greg, that have had nothing but chances?
Yeah, I mean, for a moment, I was intrigued by the 3 because that horse is quick, but has had opportunities on the grass. Already over 6. And they try and go back to it after being on synthetic for such a long time. This is a lean field, no question.
I'm betting on Guidance. I think that's a ridiculous overlay on that horse. Gets a much better post in here.
I'll say the 7 at huge price on She's Sky High actually has some efforts that, especially at this level, for 16 maiden claiming at Tampa. It was back in April. Only lost by a length and 3/4. Showed some ability.
Hey, I'm not knocking a long shot in this field. I'm just not doing it.
Horse like the 8, another one at 15-1, who has some in the money finishes at least against this level of competition, but another one who's 0 for 12.
Well, that's the thing. They've just had so many chances, these horses, as they make that long, interminable walk.
And even on the rail, could we see Legend Song maybe try and set the pace in here? Kind of race where one of the 4 becomes the favorite at 6-5. But it would not surprise me if we see a little chaos in here.
I'm certainly not going to hang my hat on Kazakin, though. I will say that the horse is the horse to beat. And the figures say it, and there's just sort of no real argument against it. The only knock against the horse has had a lot of chances. But in all fairness, it's not like she's been a number of short prices in her races, and she's failed repeatedly at short prices, right? She's not been a super favorite. In fact, she's never been favored in any of her starts. So the horses that keep losing, you sort of knock them more when they've had their share, chances at short prices. She has not. Today would be the day that you get a little disgusted with her if she can't get it done. And money's coming in for the 2 horse now.
Of course, got underway yesterday on the road to the Triple Crown in New York with the Jerome, Tampa Bay. They're going to have their say. Sam F. Davis, which we usually have coverage of.
Yeah, I imagine Acacia will be making a trip over there. We'll put her to work
next
while
weekend,
she's
live coverage.
Lollygagging down there in Florida, living the good life. Good for her. At least somebody's warm around here.
Enjoying the sunshine. So, yeah, we'll see Acacia next weekend.
Yeah.
Back on the Derby Trail.
We miss Acacia.
And with the Pasco and the Gasparilla next weekend.
I know you're always big fans of those.
I love the Pasco, actually.
They're fun races. They usually get pretty big fields. I mean, I've seen some fun races over the years. Like I told you, we gain this race off any time within the next 20 minutes. Never in a hurry down at Tampa. Very, very calm down there.
Keep in mind, we still got this. So this
Alligators
at Oaklawn next. At 6 furlong sprint coming up. I like this race. We talked about Air Combat top of the show, but a horse too that really caught our attention last year, an Arkansas bred. unfortunately, he's kind of gone the wrong way. Waylon Spring is going to be back in action. We'll see if he can return to, at one point he beat Stakes Company, Open Company, with an incredibly huge figure, but he hasn't gotten back to it. So we have that still to come. But Public firmly behind Kazachan, or Kazachan, at 8-5. Angel Arroyo will be aboard, and this horse can be tactically close too.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Guidance gets some good position, better position from that inside post, and I felt he was the other horse.
9-2 on Guidance. At least, like some of the others in the area, has not done a ton wrong. Over 2. Hit the board first time out here on the New York circuit at a big price. And then favored at Tampa and just faded badly in the stretch. Really had no response. Jason Beam, the call, the 9th from Tampa, mile and a 16th on the turf, 16,000 maiden claiming race.
Liz Queen, Fleur de Lis to the outside. Goes in. They're in the gate. Libertalia acting up in gate 3. Settles down. And the race is on. Kazachan shows out to the early advantage. She's sky high up from the outside. Legend Song is close up. Unqualified is also there with Taya's Dream to the outside. But it is Kazachan to make the lead as they come toward the stretch. Taya's Dream up on the outside. Going to come after her. And those two come by the wire, and they've gone 2.5 ahead of Legend Song as Taya's Dream takes over up front. Taya's Dream to that far turn, a length and a half now. Is Kazachan going to yield to that one and sit back in second? 2 more then, back to Legend Song. She Sky High is out 4th. Unqualified 5th down toward the inside as Liz Queen Fleur de Lis out wide in 6th. Libertalia is 7th with 2 beat early on. Those are Guidance and Freedom Express. Those 2 are at the back. 11 lengths front to back as they have 5 furlongs to go in the finale. 24-1, that opening quarter mile. Taya's Dream wanted the lead and has it by a length and a half. Kazachan stalking that one from the second position. It's 2.5 more. Back to Legend Song in 3rd. Another length then back to She Sky High. Unqualified coming through down toward the inside. Libertalia starts to make some progress in mid-pack. Then comes Liz Queen Fleur de Lis. It's 3 more back to Guidance. Another 4 back to Freedom Express, who's got to be about 13 or 14 behind. 49-4, so not the most taxing opening fractions here as Taya's Dream at Kazachan ready to go now, and here's Kazachan who goes up after the lead. Taya's Dream had no response there, was passed by Legend Song on the inside. Libertalia on the far outside trying to rally up is Liz Queen Fleur de Lis as they wind around to the quarter pole. Kazachan the leader. Libertalia on the outside, Legend Song down toward the rail. These 3 across the track as they come into the lane. Kazachan, Legend Song coming through a seam down at the inside, draws within a neck. 2.5 more back to Libertalia. Liz Queen Fleur de Lis down the crown of the track. Kazachan, Legend Song. Kazachan still prevailing. Legend Song, Liz Queen Fleur de Lis down the outside, but Kazachan fending off all rivals. Kazachan, Angel Arroyo win it by 2. Second looked like Liz Queen Fleur de Lis getting up over Legend Song. Then came Libertalia and Guidance, who photoed 4th and 5th.
Kazachan, favorite, finally breaks through. 10th time out, 4-9-1 finish.
She found the right field, got the right trip, got good forward position. Can't say the same about some others in here, but good position here and got it done. Just the best horse, and finally found a race she was favored in. It's unusual to see a horse that's had as many chances as she has, that's actually run okay in those races, to have never been the favorite before.
But in this field, it looked like finally was going to be the
Found
day for
her
her, and obliges with the win as the favorite. Those prices we'll have coming up. We have the 8th next at Oaklawn. Saying so long. Happy rest of the weekend, Andy Serling.
You too. I'll see you on Friday.
Sounds good.
All right. Unless you want to come visit on Thursday.
Maggie Wolfdale joining me after a short time out. We'll be back. We're going to talk, among other things, the brilliant Flightline with some hardware to collect at the Eclipse Awards. We'll discuss his incredible 2022 right after this.
It's Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to get into this game. You can have a few $1,000s and have fun with it. But with the bonds, you're actually going to win. I've had the opportunity to win multiple races. In fact, this year won 2 times in one day, which is almost unheard of to be able to do. This is going to happen with them. You will get into the winner's circle in Saratoga. You will walk that horse in, and you will stand there, look at the crowd, and the bonds will take you there and get you into that winner's circle. And it won't cost you a lot of money.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Let's take a closer look at the variable of distance. Some horses, they'll be going the distance. Others, you guessed it, they're going for speed. Speed horses, or sprinters, are typically the children of speedy parents. Same thing goes for route runners or longer distance runners. Their parents usually ran better going farther. This is a 1-mile race. So ideally, we'd like to find the horse who might run best at this 1-mile distance. Luckily, there's a box in each horse's section that tells you how they've done at the distance. This horse, for example, has run a mile 9 times. He finished first once, he finished second twice, and finished third once. Next, you'll compare those numbers to other horses in the race to get a better feel for who might run best at today's distance.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS1. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. As usual, doing it all, Maggie Wolfendale reporting earlier, now with me on the set. Good to see you up here.
Yeah, pleasure to be here and be warm. It was getting a little bit chilly when that sun goes behind the Aqueduct Grandstand. You start to feel that winter is definitely here.
2 good ones we still have remaining at Oaklawn, which we'll get into. The 8th at Oaklawn, 6-furlong sprint, allowance optional claiming field in this one, where I would think Air Combat is going to take plenty of attention in this spot. But 3 horses he's got to deal with again today. Finished in front of him last start on a muddy track.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little interested in Kairama, whom I was first off the bench. Now he has that race into him. I thought he ran really well, where Alabazoo was able to capitalize on the pace coming apart a bit to run down the middle of the track. But Kairama currently 5-1, I'd take it.
Here's our post parade. Edge to Edge kicks things off.
Edge to Edge, he just came up a bit short in that common race, but still ran well enough, should be forward again.
Keith Asmussen riding for Dad on Payne.
Yeah, it does have a lot of back class, but it doesn't seem as though he's in his best form as of late.
Yeah, Kairama off a layoff, ran a very good one last start for Asmussen.
And Steve has good numbers. Second off a 6 to 9 month layoff. You know, they're decent enough, 26 for 133.
Air Combat, 5-2, Ricardo Santana Jr. for John Ortiz.
You know, I thought he lugged out late. He just wasn't able to get back to his 2 races at Churchill Downs, though back on a fast track today.
This horse was a player. Big effort winning in the slop last start.
Was it the slop? It was a bit of an outlier of a performance. He does have a lot of speed. We'll see if he can employ it again.
City Rage, 19-1. Robertino Diodoro off the claim.
Always dangerous, need to pay attention, but he's going to have to find one of his best races. They seem to have come before that August-October layoff.
Tough spot. He had to deal with Hopkins, who's a really good runner out on the West Coast last start. Waylon Springs, he had a race that looked like he was going to be a star of this Archie Brett. He hasn't backed it up.
Does he need Lasix? Does he need the blinkers on? These are two additions that might help him today.
Albazoo, wow, 6-1.
On a horse who just destroyed several of these horses last time out. So he was on his wrong lead late, though he did have some interference from Air Combat.
No shirt, no shoes, 12-1 on the outside.
He's only 12-1? What's happening? I thought he should be like 20-1 plus. But then maybe he still does have a bit of back class.
Ran okay against Run Classic. Yeah, a few stars. Let's go to Paulie for more on the 8th.
Yeah, Greg, another difficult race in here. I'm not going to give you anything special. I actually love the 6 in here, Air Combat. And I'll give you the reasons why in here. And I know Johnny Ortiz has always loved this colt. Now, the 2 races back when he ran second at Churchill Downs, he had won the race before that by 4.5 lengths. Now, after that race at Churchill Downs on November 11th, obviously it was very chronicled. Horses could not ship out of Churchill Downs because of the equine virus. Now, when I talked to John, I've also talked to Norm Cassie as well. The other problem about it was when we had that freezing period, a lot of horses couldn't get on the racetrack and they missed a lot of time or a lot of work. And if you look at Air Combat, he doesn't have a work from November 11th. Basically, he had 1 work on December 2nd from November 11th. So he had only 1 work going into that last race. He did not break that well. Now he's got 2 works going into this race. I think he's going to be a ton fitter today with those works under his belt and that race for Gary Mary West. I thought he looked tremendous on the racetrack. The one edge-to-edge, going to be the one to beat. Hartman already won in the last race with Nicky Juarez going gate to wire. You know, this is a horse that does have a ton of speed. 1 for 8 here at Oaklawn. Is the kind of horse that if you leave him alone, he can go gate to wire. But is there enough pressure to keep on him? I think there's plenty of pressure in here. Probable Journey's got speed. What's going to happen with City Rage, the 8, which is a ridiculous price right now for any Robertino Diodoro runner. Albazoo, I'm kind of with you. A horse that's beating these horses 1 for 1 here at Oakland. I get it was on a muddy racetrack, but this horse is also 8 for 12 in the exacta. He does like to check in second a lot more on a fast racetrack, and maybe that's why everybody is kind of chilly on him. And then Waylon Springs, you mentioned it, Greg, and I was trying to get a little bit of a preview from Johnny Ortiz, like what's going to happen with Waylon Springs, because, you know, he has some speed too as well, along with Air Combat, and he's putting the blinkers on. So we'll see how this plays out, but I really do think Air Combat is a very, very talented colt, and it's going to be tough to beat here today. I think 5-2 is a very good price.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Yeah, Air Combat, he remains the favorite. You know, back to Waylon Springs for a moment. That Bachelor he won, and that was against Open Company. He's the Arkansas bred, the 9. He ran a figure that no one in this field can touch in that race, and he improved 3 starts in a row, all 3 wins. Just he's had back-to-back starts, one where he went to the bench. Obviously something went wrong, but the comeback race is the problem. He just did not show anything.
It's strange that Johnny Ortiz didn't run him back on Lasix at Indiana, Horseshoe Indy, I should say, because he does feel like a horse that may need that medication. If you just point blank look at his form, his best races have come when he's able to run on it. And I don't know, maybe there was a clerical error that they didn't, you know, enter him with it again. I don't know. But now he has that race under his belt. He gets Lasix again. He gets back to the track where he's had the bulk of his success, and the blinkers go on. And Greg, you and I are just briefly watching him go by when he was getting in other horses' shots. And I really like what I saw from him in the warm-up as David Cabrera does climb aboard for only the 2nd time. Yes, he's a bit of a one-figure horse, one-race horse, but there is some ability in there.
No, he was emerging, yeah, at this meet last year towards the end of the meet, big time. Let's go to JK for more.
Yeah, Wolfie, you know, it's one of those races where I kind of can feel confident. If you like 2 horses, they happen to have opposite styles, you can kind of rest easy having to worry about how the race is going to unfold. I'm going to start with the 10, Albazoo, who I do like in here, who had some nice races for previous trainers, but really kind of seemed to wake up in the last start for Diodoro. Now, there was a setup that day, and so oftentimes you would like to be a little bit reluctant when you have a horse who got set up with a fast pace to close into, but that could happen again here today. I like the outside draw, and like I said, feels like this horse has kind of found himself with Diodoro. And then the opposite of a closer, obviously he's a speed horse. I'm going to take the 4 Kairama as well. This horse got stuck inside of a speed duel on a muddy racetrack for Steve Asmussen, and didn't win the race, but kind of won the battle, as it were, in that speed duel to put away the other horse that was forwardly placed. And I like a horse that shows that kind of determination. That was off of a layoff. You'd like to think the horse is going to take another step forward, and was involved in that fast pace that set up so well for Albizu. So I'm going to be on the fence a little bit here. I'm not going to give you a pick. I'm just telling you one of these 2 horses is winning.
All right, JK, we're going to look at that race that Albazoo won. Kairama was second, Edge to Edge was third. It was on December 11th in the mud at Oaklawn. For Kairama, who winds up second, this is his first start in 7.5 months.
Greg, you and I were up here on the set the rare times I was up here, and I really like Kairama. And I mean, today I like him even more. I just felt as though he was a horse that was running fast figures as an early 3-year-old. And so there was every reason to believe that he could take a step forward. And I think we saw it here. And there may have been that indication that he needed the race, as JK was mentioning. And 2, he was a part of that pace where Alabazoo, capitalized on it, kind of just not necessarily falling apart, but at least backing up a bit. And I think he moves forward from that. We'll see. He was hard sent to get to the lead. He's maybe not the fastest horse in here, but it would be good to see him involved yet again.
Yeah, a lot of room to move forward. Second off the bench, off that kind of performance. See if Steve Asmussen uncharacteristically struggling at this meet. Just 2 for 43 coming into today, but just a matter of time before he gets going.
John Ortiz is uncharacteristically struggling at this meet. I mean, last year he was one of the leading trainers at the meet, and now he's, just 1 for 21 at Oaklawn Park. So that doesn't necessarily bode well for your 2-to-1 favorite either. For me, I would rather take his other horse, who is taking some nibbles on the board in number 9, Wayland Springs, just because there's some elements of unknown. And maybe it was a muddy track, but I personally didn't love his race last time.
Speaking of who?
Air Combat, sorry.
Okay.
Because he lugged out. I know he was chasing on the outside, and maybe you wanted to be the one if you were forward on the inside, like Kairama was. But Alabazoo ran down the middle of the racetrack, and he actually interfered with Alabazoo nearing the 16th pole. So Air Combat can beat me at 2-to-1. I'd rather take Kairama or Wayland Springs.
And a number continuing to come down on Wayland Springs. He was 11-1 the 9 when we looked at him a few minutes ago. He's down to 7-1 now. So see if that horse, the Arkansas bred, can make an impact here. Back on Lasix, as you mentioned. Equipment change with the blinkers on, but that horse, the 6, Air Combat, he's been favored throughout in this competitive 8th from Oaklawn. Vic Stauffer, the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Edge to Edge broke beautifully. Goes right out to the front from Air Combat and City Rage. Kairama, an Improbable Journey in the mix. So is Wayland Springs. And way to the center of the racetrack is Albazoo. Payne is next, and the early trailer is No Shirt, No Shoes. Look at them line up at the half-mile pole. Edge to Edge, Kairama, Air Combat, Improbable Journey 4 wide, City Rage 5 wide, and Wayland Springs 6 wide as they sort out going into the far turn. Payne is next. The trailer is No Shirt, No Shoes, and the leader is Edge to Edge. Edge to Edge getting away just a bit at the quarter pole as Improbable Journey now runs after him in second. Now Kairama backs out. Air Combat's about to join him into third. Payne is next. Albazoo has to fly. Edge to Edge cuts the corner and leads. It is Edge to Edge, a final furlong, and now he's got a 2-length lead on Improbable Journey in second. Albazoo is closing, so is Payne, but Edge to Edge is a 16th out, and he's just run them right off their feet. Edge to Edge now 5 in front. Payne second, maybe No Shirt, No Shoes for third. Edge to Edge in front. Edge to Edge won by 4.5. Payne was second. Very close for third between No Shirt, No Shoes and Albazoo.
It's a huge effort from Edge to Edge. 5th win of his career. And, wow, a big price. Payne at 24-1 for Asmussen with his son aboard winds up second.
Yeah, first off the claim, he was able to make up ground. Nice patient ride by Keith Asmussen, but it was all about Edge to Edge when he broke like he did. And it's nice to see, you know, we're not necessarily experienced at watching, you know, 5 horses line up across the track early on for the lead here at Aqueduct. But Oaklawn, they go for it. But Edge to Edge, he was just fast, and he was best today. And yet another win for Chris Hartman, who, speaking of meets, is having a very nice one at Oaklawn Park thus far.
Yeah, he might be over 40%
yeah,
at this point.
Because this is his second win on the card.
Edge to Edge with the win, dominant in a tough group, too. This is impressive. While the prices, when we come back, we have the nightcap to come as well. We'll stretch out to a mile in race 9 next.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile.
Essential Quality has won.
In the Belmont.
Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
Back at America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday afternoon with us. 8th from Oaklawn, Edge to Edge on his game on this Sunday afternoon.
He was taking them gate to wire. He gets his 5th win out of 23 starts, and just brilliantly handled by Francisco Arrieta, using the speed to his advantage, using that inside post. And he would, as you said, he was just on it today. A horse that doesn't necessarily need the lead to win, but he was just so much faster than everyone.
It's impressive. 5th win of his career. Chris Hartman, again, tremendous meet he's having early on in here. Francisco Arrieta, and owned by Peggy Thompson, $8.80 for the win. I know it was a long ways back, but for Payne, that's a big improvement for him. And No Shirt, No Shoes, the 11 at 21.01. Trifecta for 50 cents, $326. As we move into the nightcap, this will close it out. 2-turn mile, first allowance condition race, and Winterwood ran a monster number last time. And I was in defeat. He ran second. He was beat a length and finished well clear of horses on the Triple Crown Trail last year in Barber Road. Can he back it up, and can he seal the deal for Terry Brennan with Rafael Bejarano?
Yeah, and he was wired by Disc Jockey, who was really, really game in his victory. I was against Air Combat last race. I don't see too much knock against Winterwood this time.
More on this field when we come back from a timeout. We're going to talk one of the most intriguing divisions in terms of the Eclipse Awards. Epicenter, your Travers winner. Taiba, 3-time Grade 1 winner for Bob Baffert. And then the Turf Invader, Modern Games, 3-time Group 1 winner, 2 of them against older company. We'll talk about it next.
An obligatory goes by the ball. And Winston. Here comes Malathaat. Here comes Clairiere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's going to be Clairiere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathaat grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathaat has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curling, the classic sire.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Consistently versatile with 25 Grade 1 winners on every surface from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles all over the world.
Switzerland in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. Switzerland wins.
Churls Fight running on. Mason in front. Churls Fight on the outside. At the wire. Photo for the win.
Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
All purpose, all places, all power. Speightstown. It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
We're back at America's Day at the Races program, brought to you where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com to get signed up and started. Finalists announced for the Eclipse Awards for 2022. And one of the most intriguing divisions, 3-year-old, as we teased, going to break. Taiba, in terms of Grade 1 wins for that group of 3. The leader after that win in the Malibu.
Well, it's a strange division this year, Greg, because the Triple Crown has absolutely no bearing on the finalist or even the likely outcome of this year's 3-year-old division for the Eclipse Awards. Epicenter, he ran well enough in the Derby. Taiba was a no-show in Modern Games. He's a turf horse. So, and then, the winners of the Preakness and the Belmont subsequently just really didn't do much. Obviously, Mo Donegal retired, and the Preakness winner just didn't run much in his 2 New York efforts after that.
This is the horse that was the most consistent horse all the way up through the Travers Midsummer. Runner-up of the Derby, runner-up of the Preakness. Does that give him any credit? Do you get any extra credit for that, even though you didn't win those races, that you were runner-up? And to that point, wins the Travers' best moment, but was the most consistent through most of the year?
He was the most consistent to a certain extent, but we only saw the 1 Grade 1 win from him in the Travers, where we see Taiba having 3 with the Santa Anita Derby, the PA Derby, and then a bit of a walkover in the Malibu, as we were just talking about, albeit against some older horses too. And it might be a moot point, but he did finish best in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, I think he gets credit for that.
Right.
Running third against older.
But Epicenter injured in that race early on. So, like I said, it's a little bit of a moot point. But at the end of the day, if you look at the body of work side by side, these 2 dirt horses, Taiba achieved more.
Modern Games, meanwhile, an Invader for Charlie Appleby, and look, tougher turf horse to win in this division, but 3 Group 1s, 2 of them against older horses, and of course 1 of them on the biggest stage in the Breeders' Cup.
He's such a bonny horse, but he only has 1 Grade 1 win in America. Yes, he's a Grade 1 winner this year in North America, but Canada has the Sovereign Awards. We're talking about the Eclipse Awards. We're talking about your body of work in America at the end of the day. And while I really respect this horse and I really like him, it would just really be kind of going against the grain to award him the Eclipse Award for a 3-year-old, and I just don't think he necessarily fits the bill for this year's edition. And as much as I'm not in love with him as a horse in Taiba, but I just think he deserves it.
I'm with you too. We'll see. It's interesting. I think Taiba's going to get it, and obviously that Malibu is going to help pad that resume too. I do think he was the best 3-year-old.
Right.
Too, just in terms of the most talented, and we'll see how good he gets into his 4-year-old campaign, but we'll see if it is Taiba. You looking forward to it?
I am really looking forward to it. I always look forward to the Eclipse Awards.
Gonna be fun. We're waiting to see who the finalists for, who is gonna be the runners-up to Flightline for Horse of the Year.
Is there any?
Nightcap still to come at Oaklawn, and that is the horse to beat, Winterwood. Big figure last time out. If he repeats it, he's going to be tough.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers.
It's Bushido coming down to the wire in the Ontario Racing Stakes has run them ragged.
A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS1. Nightcap to come at Oaklawn. We'll get to race 9 of the post parade coming up in just a moment. Greg Wolf, Maggie Wolfendale, Paul LaDuca, and Jonathan Kinch, I believe, still with us as well. We have a competitive 9th coming up and maybe a really big performance we're going to witness from Winterwood in this finale. We're going to talk about the sprint division in the Eclipse Awards and male sprinter. This interesting as well. Jackie's Warrior has been such a great horse over the course of his career, but again, did not get it done on Breeders' Cup Saturday. Let's start with Cody's Wish, who beat Jackie's Warrior in the 4-go at Saratoga.
It's a shame that Cody's Wish kind of straddles divisions, if you will. So he won the 2-turn Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, but yet he did beat Jackie, as you were saying, in the Grade 1 4-go up at Saratoga, but it's only one sprint race that he won. So how is he really a definitive favorite in this division? Now, he might win Moment of the Year for the Eclipse, being, you know, the association with Cody Dorman, and I really think he should win wholeheartedly. So at least he'll get some recognition for that, and he's been a great horse. But you talk about the bulk of and body of work as a sprinter, there's only one race for him.
Meanwhile, Elite Power, your Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, got beat to start off the year. Then he reeled off 5 consecutive wins. The problem is just 2 graded stakes, the Grade 2 Vosburg, but then he did win the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
I think the voters will make him your Eclipse champion, where, it's such a murky division where all 3 of these finalists have only won 1 Grade 1 sprint race. So that's 7 furlongs or less. And it wasn't, I'm sorry, did I say Vosburg for whatever? But it's a Grade 2, and then he wins the Breeders' Cup. And he beats Jackie's Warrior, who year after year, as you were mentioning, Greg, looks to be the division leader, and then he just can't see it through in the Breeders' Cup.
Here's the reason I think he's going to get support, Jackie's Warrior. First of all, 4 graded stakes, 2 Grade 1s, but the thing that stands out is he became the first horse in the history of Saratoga to win a Grade 1 in 3 consecutive years. And I think hopefully everyone's aware of that.
Yeah.
But that's going to mean something at a historic track like Saratoga. We'll see if it's enough.
Yeah, with his Grade 1 win in the Vanderbilt, obviously, came up short in the Forego. So I love him. I love him. But it's gonna be a photo finish between him and Elite Power, and he finished 3rd to Elite Power in the Breeders' Cup. And year after year, we see so much weight given to the finishes in the Breeders' Cup, where I just think Elite Power is gonna edge him.
It should mean something too, to finish the year off strong and to win on championship weekend. And again, Jackie's Warrior didn't do it.
Right.
So.
Right, and Elite Power undefeated this year, so there's also that.
Your vote would go to?
Reluctantly, Elite Power.
Yeah. See what happens. This young lady going to be one of the hosts of the evening.
I am truly, truly honored and humbled and excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, we look forward to watching that. We have the nightcap coming up from Oaklawn, race 9. Next, we'll get to the post parade after a short timeout. Stay with us. Winterwoods, the 9-5 favorite for trainer Terry Brennan. We'll be back.
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half-dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
The Run Happies are hot, hot, hot with his 2-year-olds burning up the track. Recent top runners include this growing list of winners at Churchill Downs. Plus the speedy 2-year-old colt, Happy is a Choice, a 5-length maiden winner at Keeneland.
Happy is a Choice, Francisco Arrieta to win it.
Price for value and turning up the heat. Call today and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Going to close out this card in Hot Springs, Arkansas with the 2-turn mile, first allowance condition race. And we'll get a look at the field here coming up. A lot of money as expected on Winterwood. I thought the Tom Drury horse a little interesting as well. And this horse taking some money. Here's the 5 Tonka Warrior.
Tonka Warrior is coming in off a little bit of a layoff, and if you single out his dirt routes, they're some of his best races to date. He just won, just missed the bob last time out.
Disco Danzing gets the rail. Tyler Bays.
He's going to have to get a bit faster, but he does have a win going a 2-turn mile back at Remington Park.
Beer Chaser at 4-1.
Does he get to control here? He is taking money, and maybe people feel as though he could be the one setting the pace and take them gate to wire.
Barn with 2 monster long shots come in the last couple of days as well. Are Vindicated at 33-1.
I think this horse is interesting getting back to a fast dirt track. I always thought he looked a bit more like a dirt horse, though he spent most of the summer running on the turf. He's a little bit intriguing as an outsider.
Amongst Friends, Aaron Shorter trains.
Yeah, it does come out of a race in which the second place finisher Golden Hornet posted a 93 buyer in his next start. He gets back out to a longer distance where he just hasn't been that successful.
U.S. Navy Cross had a nice win at Remington 2-back.
He looks nice on the racetrack too, I agree, but he was well and soundly defeated by Winterwood last time out.
26-1. Next door on this horse, Emerald Express. Randy Morse second off the claim.
And stretching back out in distance. He has yet to be successful in these sort of route races, though.
Stormy Pattern, 10-1 here for Mike Maker.
He could be a thorn in the side to the 2 Beer Chaser. He does have quite a bit of early speed, too. He was strangled back last time out, I thought, and he just didn't like it.
Dial in for Loot, huge price.
Comes out of a race where the third place finisher Flapjack came back to win and post a 96 buyer. So we'll see if that Remington Park form can translate.
Winterwood, he's the 8-5 favorite. That 96 buyer from him last start.
He ran well, but Disc Jockey was just better. Is he a horse that likes to hang a bit? Maybe that's his Achilles heel.
Lightly raced Debate. He came off a long layoff for Tom Drury Jr., and he posted an impressive win in the slop.
Now, he is listed as a gelding here. Sometimes I don't necessarily trust that because what were we doing in the long layoff before his last race? But produced 4 next time out winners that maiden at Churchill.
And Blame Eli on the outside, 32-1, huge long shot.
Yep, you said it.
Not a lot of positives he had to say for the 12. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, to close out this card, difficult card so far. And I think on actually very, very competitive racing here. When you look at the 10 Winterwood, obviously the one to beat in here off that last race does have 2 wins, 6 out of 9 in the trifecta. And a horse that can, rate a little bit, can come from far behind. So a horse that doesn't need to be put in different places or can be put in certain places. And if you look, Winterwood, he's been 30-1, 4-1, and 7-1. He's kind of been dismissed at the windows, and he keeps running big races. Now, the 11 you talked about, Debate, Greg, man, he could not have looked any better. And I am in agreement with Maggie. I tried to find Tom Drury. He's not here, but I have a sneaky feeling that this horse ran as a gelding last time out. But this is what Tom Drury does. Takes a lot of Claiborne horses that have had injuries before, and he takes them back to his farm, works them, and gets them back on the racetrack. And obviously, Debate has come back and looking in great form. I mean, looked tremendous on the racetrack. The 5 in here, Tonka Warrior from McLean Robinson's taking a little bit of money. We've seen a lot of these Chicago horses. They did well at Churchill Downs shipping in. I'm wondering how they're going to do here. We have seen a couple horses come in here that have done okay from Chicago. So I do think the 5 has got a big shot. I like the 2 in here, and I like the 2 for a couple of reasons. I like the 2 simply just because of where he's kind of at. He's a horse that just got that race last time out. If you look at his races at Thistle, he was getting better and better. He's a 5-year-old now. And Greg, you hit the nail on the head. Kim Poole won yesterday with Rolling Fork at 40-1. The only horse that made up any ground in the center of the racetrack yesterday. And then won the second race today with C Spot Run at 30-1. So you're rolling home some long shots like that. I'll take the 7-2 shot that makes a little sense right here in Beer Chaser.
Yeah, incredible run from Kim Poole the last couple of days with some huge numbers. So we'll see if this one, who's right now second choice on the board, the 2, can get it done. Beer Chaser. Let's go to JK for more.
Look, I'm a sucker for speed figures, and if you look at Winterwood's last figure, I mean, if this horse runs that race, the rest of them are running for second. And even the race, a couple races back, 3 races back, if they can find that performance again, another one that should put the 10 Winterwood in the winner's circle. The only one that I suppose, you know, if you're allergic to betting the favorites, which I know some people are, which I think is probably something you should reconsider. Favorites, you get paid for those as well. The 11 Debate towards the outside makes a little sense. Has some speed figures. Ran well for Tommy Drury first time. Maybe takes another step forward off of that. It's just a little bit tricky because that big kind of better performance came on a racetrack that had some moisture in it, so you're not really sure what to do. But I will say this. It's been a productive race. There's been 4 horses that have come out of that race and won their next start. So it's an outside horses race to me, the 10 or the 11, but I've got no problem telling you that I like the 10 here at 9-5.
A lot of reasons to like. I mean, that number just stands out against this group. Granted, he still didn't win, and somewhat, I mean, coming back fairly quick off the biggest effort of his life.
Right. So you wonder, does he react off that a little bit here? I'm not really against him. He has the right kind of stalking tactics that might prove out to be successful here. But he's going to have to do it from the far outside post, going this 2-turn mile, which can be a little bit tricky. It's a shame that Debate is the one posted outside of him. I think Paul's on to something with Beer Chaser. And like I said, I'm a little interested in Tonka Warrior, too.
Yeah, Tonka Warrior, the 5 for McLean Robertson. Ricardo Santana Jr. rides coming in from Hawthorne. All eyes on Winterwood, the heavy favorite, the 10, with Rafael Bejarano. Nightcap from Oak Lawn coming up. And Vic Stauffer the call.
Tonka Warrior. Winterwood. U.S. Navy Cross. Debate. Last to load, Blame Eli. They're at the post. They're off. Good start for Beer Chaser and Stormy Pattern. These two show the most speed. Stormy Pattern will clear. Then comes to the outside in Debate, followed by Dial In for Loot. Blame Eli will be wide. Then comes Tonka Warrior, Disco Dancing, and Winterwood in the center. Emerald Express and Amongst Friends, followed by U.S. Navy Cross. And the trailers are Vindicated, and the leader is Stormy Pattern. Stormy Pattern to the backstretch, a length and a half in front of Debate in second. Dial In for Loot is third, and he's about 2.5 from the front, and he's 2 in front of both Beer Chaser and Blame Eli. Then Winterwood in the center. Between horses, Tonka Warrior's in a tight spot. Just outside of him, it's Emerald Express. Then a length further back to Disco Dancing, followed by Amongst Friends. The 2 trailers are U.S. Navy Cross and are Vindicated. They run past the half-mile marker. The finish line is the 16th pole, and Stormy Pattern is trying to get there first. Stormy Pattern, a length and a half in front of Debate in second. Dial In for Loot is third. Beer Chaser begins to move up. Winterwood is in the center. Then Tonka Warrior. He's got 5 to make up. It's still Stormy Pattern at the top of the stretch. Winterwood is now beginning to run after him. Tonka Warrior catches the eye in the center. He draws within 3.5 of the lead. Stormy Pattern confronted by Winterwood. Tonka Warrior in the center is in with a very good chance as they run to the final furlong, and it's still between horses and Winterwood. Winterwood is in front. Stormy Pattern battles on. Tonka Warrior to the outside, and Amongst Friends, Winterwood, Tonka Warrior, Winterwood, Tonka Warrior, Winterwood. Winterwood held off both Tonka Warrior and Amongst Friends. Stormy Pattern finished 4th.
Winterwood is the favorite, takes the nightcap here at Oak Lawn.
Yeah, he just sat the trip that he projected to sit, Greg. I mean, he was able to hold off number 5, Tonka Warrior, who was on the wide chase, and then Amongst Friends was flying up the inside in the narrowest of holes to get up at a, I'm sure, big price of 20 to 1. But it was all about your 9-to-5 favorite Winterwood getting the job done here today for Terry Brennan and Rafael Bejarano.
Got shut off a little bit too early on in this race. He was very far back. Good effort from him. And holds off Tonka Warrior for the victory. So Winterwood, third win of his career, and he backs up that huge figure last time out. Terry Brennan looks like he's got a talented 4-year-old here.
He does, and of course, son of McLean's Music, they often are runners.
Card in the books. We are back Friday the 13th. We will see you on FS2, 2:30 Eastern start time next Friday. So we hope you join us then. We had a fun afternoon in here. And
we did.
Derby Trail, of course, on Saturday. Logan Knight, impressive. Say Florida Sandy today. What do you think now? Back-to-back stakes wins for this 6-year-old. He was impressive. Really dug in down the stretch for that victory under Dylan Davis for Rudy Rodriguez. And at Oaklawn, edge to edge. Just dominant against this group in the featured 8th race from Oaklawn, picking up the 5th win of his career. We'll see you Friday, 2:30 Eastern on FS2.